Yo, what's up, Matty and Black Wolf? How are we doing, guys? We're both okay. The PlayStation's not working. I have not seen anything about this. What's going on PlayStation? That's not good. We don't like that. Right. Oh, so it was actually PlayStation that was down, not Division, I guess, right? Is that what we're saying? I hope it's not Division. That would be rough. Do you know what happens every now and again to PlayStation? It's becoming more, I feel like it's becoming more and more common that PlayStation like has these like issues, and they're always like major issues, right? Like it's always like, oh, it's down for a day or 2 days. Like it's always pretty crazy, right? It's never. All right, let me just get this open. This I wasn't intending on actually being live with it being so late, but I haven't done a PTS stream yet, but I'll probably do one tomorrow. Oh, it's the PSN that's down. Ah, okay. Oh, yeah, that sucks. What a time. Okay. At least you guys, well, I suppose, at least there's no PTS on PlayStation. I suppose that's a non-silver lining. You know what I mean? Because you'd be pissed, right? Ah, PSN's down. I can't play the PTS. That would piss me right off. Right. All right. What have I just been sent? Oh, okay. Well, look at that later because I've not got time to look at that. No. So, Pritch. How am I liking the PTS? God, that's a loaded question around these parts. In all honesty, I mean, let me get on. 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 All right. We're good. We're good. Right. How am I liking the PTS? Right. So, you know me, right? I don't like to be Mr. Doom and Gloom. Like, that's for sure, right? Now, let's talk over my initial worries, right? My initial worries. But we've got to also think about with my initial... I think my initial worries are covered by other things that they've said, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. I've got to shower her chat, by the way. Sorry about this. Obviously, prototype gear brings in a level of power that is certainly not needed for a lot of things in the game. So I'm looking at you know, master missions. I always really enjoy a master mission run. I feel like it's you know, it's scaled very well. Solo master is definitely nothing to, you know, to it's definitely not easy. It's, you know, I don't think a lot of people manage to do solo master. I think it's quite a limited thing. And I've really enjoyed that challenge at the end of every season. Prototype gear will make a bit of a mockery of it. But do I know if they will put prototype into master missions, or like PvP raids and the incursion, will they basically not allow it? And that's potentially an option. I don't know. We don't know that. I agree. We don't necessarily know that until the version goes live. And And that's why I'm very restrictive on what I'm trying to say about it, because we're playing a test version. They want feedback from us, you know, so they, you know, you've got to be constructive with your feedback and not kind of slanderous, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? How do you get prototype? You can either upgrade your level 30 expertise gear to it with a new material called prototype course, or you can get it to drop in escalations. What's up? Nothing but gamer. How we doing? So that is my initial worry. But we have seen multiple statements that a difficulty increase to the rest of the game is planned after this. So okay, yes, we might have you know, a bit of a you know, a bit of a season perhaps where everything is fairly easy. But what if then Year 8 Season 2 adds a new layer of difficulty everywhere else with increased rewards? Well, all of a sudden, it's been great in Year 8 Season 1 because we spent a whole season gearing up. You know what I mean? All right, Tixie. All right, J-Mac. We spent a whole, you know, and as well, it also shortcuts things for people as well, right? Because adding a new level of gear to a game doesn't just improve me as a player, it improves the whole player base. So if you think about for instance, me as a player, and then I get my best friend Dave down the road who's never played the game before to jump on. All right, I could speedrun Dave through the game in a day, right? You know what I mean? Get all his missions done, get him a striker's set, you know, and then start helping him, you know, get through his expertise, which they're already announced that they make expertise easier. Now, he's probably not going to get max level 30, you know, everything in a day, but if he's playing with me, it's certainly going to be easier with me if I'm decked out in prototype. So prototype has an ongoing effect with people who are also playing the game, even if they don't have access to it because they're a newer player. You know what I mean? So Tixie, thank you for the 40 bits, mate. I appreciate you, mate. So I think, you know, I think that there's a bigger aspect of things to kind of think about when we're talking about difficulty of the game with prototype, you know. So I think that also adds to what they've gone down with the rarity of it. I think it should be tested more to all the bugs are out. Tixie, thanks for the 200 bits, mate. So well, to be honest, right, so I think what we should think about here a little bit as well is that I wouldn't expect that this is the build that they're planning on pushing live. I would probably guess this build's at least a couple of weeks old, and they probably know about some of these bugs already, if that makes sense. So, like, if in like a software development, if you do like an alpha or a beta, sometimes you will put out a beta with bugs that you know already are in it. But what you kind of want is the people to find different bugs, you know, that maybe you've not found, if that makes sense. You've not got past tier 7, and I guess that's exactly where it needs to be, right? So for me, I don't think it's quite hard enough, right? I think that it's still a little bit too easy. I think you know, and because where I would kind of say it needs to be is that I think people should have to have a decent amount of prototype gear and decent rolls on it. So they've had to kind of grind out prototype for a little while before you start hitting that tier 10, right? I think if you can hit the tier 10 quite quickly with bad rolls, it's not quite kind of level, you know, as it should be. Yes, chat. Please make sure Resurgence is closer than ever, 10 days away. So please make sure you pre-register for Resurgence. Join my Discord. You can talk to Mr. Ubitixie himself. And yeah, we'll be doing a stream for that before we do a stream for Year 8 because it's out before it. I'm gonna open the chat because I've got Orion and Dango in there. Hello, guys. Any news on the system requirements, graphic settings news for Resurgence? I assume we'll hear. You mean for the mobile phones, Griff? I don't know what. I assume, and Tixie will know better than me. Tixie, thank you for the 100 bits. That they'll have or maybe they have already, and I've just not seen it. A list of compatible phones. Is there a list of compatibility for phones, Tixie? I guess they would definitely have one very soon. I've got like I'm lucky enough to have the latest iPad, so I know I'm pretty safe, and an iPhone 17. So for devices, I'm pretty safe.
Is he answering? I'm not in chat, but
he answered no info. He answered no info.
Unfortunately, there's not. So I'll give the long one so he doesn't have to type it. Unfortunately, there's just so many different phones and so many different versions of phones that for them to give a comprehensive list is just unrealistic. So they've said that if you, on your device, go into the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store and try to download it, it'll tell you whether it's supported or not.
Oh, that's good then. No, so at least you can go to the App Store of whatever your platform is, and you just know straight away. Then I guess that's pretty good. That is pretty good. Tixie, thank you for the gifted sub to J Mac. Hi, Aaliyah, how we doing? Eternal Chaos, how you doing?
Do you know, going back to what Ryan just said, then I think, do you remember when you sent me a test code on the first beta?
Oh, your phone wasn't compatible?
Yeah, it told me that on the app. It said your phone will not.
Oh, okay.
It's not compatible with
Flaming, we are terrible. We a bit, and I don't stand for what the managers said. Like he said, because we've not lost in the last X amount of games, that we've not been terrible until today. We have been terrible for the last 4 games, like really bad. Hi, Danny, how we doing? Yes, the beard has gone. I have had a shave. I'm having a haircut this week. Yep. I cleaned myself up today.
Maybe I don't want to log in a stream.
I look so ugly with no beard. Wow. Wow. I'm gonna start growing my looks back, chat. Holy shit.
Oh my
God. So thank you, Danny. Thank you, Danny. So yeah, chat, it is a difficult one. It is a difficult one. One thing that I am definitely putting my feedback for this is that I feel like, and it's kind of difficult, right? Because I think it definitely needs to lean on the side of an upgraded piece. So if I've spent the resources upgrading a piece, whether I've optimized it, then expertised it to 30, and then turned it to prototype, and I'm unhappy with it, if I destroy it, I feel like I should be getting way more back than 1 prototype core. Like, I think that return is extremely stingy. Now, I kind of understand why they've done that, because if you get a drop in the open world, they don't want to all of a sudden litter at people's characters with materials just for picking something up and then destroying it. And I don't know if they could use perhaps the tag that we get on the bottom of gear where it says source crafted at the bottom, or source looted.
Oh, you've actually made it up to
and maybe give us give us different results.
So 1 call for the drop and all the shit you've put into it.
Yeah, I feel like that is just a little bit harsh. I feel like, especially if they're going to want us to play this, if this is the new meta is, get a piece of gear, upgrade it, play the random stat roll. If we get what we want, great. If we don't, destroy and go again, or farm another one, or whatever.
Why would you? It's still better than what you're at,
no, because if I do it a second time or a third time or you know what I mean? Because the aim's going to be that for my strikers, I want 2 terminal stat rolls, right? You know what I mean? I want max weapon damage. I want max critical hit damage. Like, you know what I mean? Now, I'm probably going to get the.
It's not like you're asking too much.
Oh no, it is, because it is. Like, so we look at this one here, right? So say on day 1, I decide to upgrade this striker's mask, and this is the result that I get, right? I get one with critical hit damage. I'm probably not going to re-roll the augment on it and put any more materials in it until I get one that is going to give me the core attribute of weapon damage, right? Because that's going to be what I want as my base set. So my starting prototype strikers, for me, I want all the core attributes to terminal weapon damage, right? That's where I want to be at. But until I get there. Then now I need to go, right, okay. So my farm now is to go and get another striker's mask. Well, that's dead easy. I can go to the bench and optimize one. That's great. And then turn it to prototype because I've been playing escalations. I've got some materials and stuff and blah blah blah. Great. And then I roll it again, and I get one that's weapon damage. Great, but it didn't give me the terminal on critical hit damage. All right. Well, the next thing is that I don't want to do anything with any of my other gear yet. I want to do that again until I get a terminal roll on weapon damage and critical hit damage. That's kind of my end game at that moment in time. Like, you know what I mean? And then once I get one that's double terminal, all right, now I want the augment to be.
You're basically putting placeholders until you get exactly what you want.
Exactly, yeah. Then I want to farm then for the prototype cores because I want echo on the augment. Like, you know what I mean? The only place where that's going to get extremely rough is that if I get a double terminal roll and get max on both my stats, but then it doesn't give me echo in, 3 or 4 rolls, because if you don't get echo in 3 or 4 rolls, it starts getting very expensive. Hello, Tixie. Is there any preloading for Resurgence? No, it's just out on the 31st. I don't think unless Tixie's going to tell me otherwise, because I've got it.
No preload whatsoever.
Yeah, I've got it tagged. But iOS will pop up if you go into the Apple Store. I don't know if Android's the same. You can click notify me. But I assume they'll probably put out something in the coming days to go, oh, it's the 31st, be ready, and we might get a little bit more info.
I'll send you a picture there. Look at me striker's backpack. Ooh, I like it. I like it. That's maxed.
Yeah, exactly. So Dango sent me a perfect example here. Look, so that's essentially what I'm going to be farming for with the striker's piece. Double terminal roll, so he got max weapon damage, max critical hit damage, and then he's got echo on it.
Did you say you're gonna wait to roll augments until you get a double terminal, though? Is that what you said?
I probably would do, yeah, because otherwise I feel like I'm just losing cores for no reason, right?
That's a tough one. Just because I guess it depends on the rate, like that not that they'll tell us exactly what it is, but from how it's been described, is it's going to be super rare to get a double terminal, right? So like,
yeah,
maybe
people you've probably got more chance on gear sets, haven't we?
I seem to think,
yeah, for sure, probably.
Off my initial testing, I tend to get a terminal 1 in 20-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do it now, right? I think let's do it, chat. Let's just prove me wrong, right? Oh, that's a good idea. So, what have we got here? How many pieces have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I've got 17 here, right? Which screws me for making build videos if I need this gear, but I'll just recreate it, right? So, upgrade to prototype. No, our skill. So skill doesn't count. And this is a perfect example. I've logged this as well. Skill gear gets screwed over a little bit because
so if it's rolling another skill tier for your terminal,
it's pretty obvious here that the Eclipse Protocol terminaled here on the skill tier because nothing got affected on the status effect, and it just shouldn't do that. I think they should give skill gear a bit more of a chance. And there you go. So that Eclipse Protocol backpack is essentially perfect now because the attribute did go here, but we don't know if we double terminaled or not. I'm equipped that, so let's see. So we definitely didn't go double terminal there. And I mean, the problem is here that this is this equalizer didn't go no double terminal there. And I know it's yellow gear, but we're just looking for double, right? Hey, Scurry. We didn't go double terminal there. The card didn't go double terminal. Oh, did we go double terminal? Pistol damage. No, we didn't. But the card's weird. Look, it gets 2 skill tiers, which could be rather nice. Hiya, Yard. So we didn't go double terminal there. Well, what's going to happen with the... Oh, hang on. Let's try this. Hang on. Did we go double terminal then on the card?
Oh, I don't.
Oh no, we didn't because yellow starts a guaranteed terminal, so we didn't. My harvest didn't go double terminal. The test subject didn't go double terminal. We did. My dark winter didn't go double terminal. I mean, ARs are rough as well. If you get health damage on ARs, oh, that'd be painful. My carnage went LMG damage. Thank you for coming.
I'm gonna be really sad if my Lexington hits health damage.
There we go. My GR9 went double terminal. So how many rolls was that, chat? It wasn't that even that many. We know we only had 17 pieces we could do it with. So 1, 2, 3. So all right, okay. So 15 rolls around, and we got a double terminal.
I've got a question there.
Higher target, higher newt. Every time I've done it, I've done double terminal within 20.
What the fuck is double terminal?
Double max stat.
Max new roll
Yeah.
stat that's higher than what? Yeah.
Well, the technical term is terminal, so I'm gonna call it we'll go with what the devs are calling it, right?
No,
Yeah.
fucking nice.
Right, I re-rolled the other day. Yesterday, and
Yep.
I do not know, and I've done Fox's Prayer.
Yep.
And I got 22.5% and 11% damage to targets out of cover.
Yeah, so it should
normal.
Well, so because it's got a yellow stat on it, it guarantees double terminal because it's got a yellow stat.
Right, yeah.
But the problem is it should be 12. It should be 12%. So a lot of the yellow gear items are doing weird things for some reason. So how hard is it to get all 3 maxed? I've never done it. I've never seen.
I mean, that's the thing. If you throw 1 out of 15 at it, right? Like you just it's. You look at it every say 15 to 20, right? So it's going to take you to get 3 right. You're looking at rolling 60 times. Right?
Yeah,
it's
maybe
just kind of statistics that way.
No,
yeah,
it's not an accurate statistic though.
Well, yeah, but what I'm doing is not an accurate statistic either.
It's just anecdotal.
Some person could go and re-roll an exotic and get it on 1 roll.
Oh, sure, but I mean, that's why you gotta look at it.
Hey, Gusta.
Spend 70 exotic
Hey, Jack.
components to get that same roll, like so.
Yeah, well, right. You could, Dan. You could get it in 3, and then I could do it, and it could take me 40.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
It could take 300 as well in theory. Yeah.
I mean,
of course it could. Yeah.
It's just, but that's why you got to look at it like statistically.
Sub-eternal chaos.
Yeah, true.
Apparently, PSN is down, so yeah, PlayStation people are having a hard time right now. By the way, the gift is broke. I've logged this. It doesn't get an augment. The gift, and even if you re-roll it, it doesn't. All
right, yeah.
It still breaks.
What does Emperor's Guard knees do? Ooh,
I've done them.
Roll actually. Have you done them?
Yeah, Emperor's Guard.
PSN is just a little fucked. It's not down. I was able just to log in, but I sat at 98% for like literally 3 minutes before it would load me in.
Oh right, okay.
I was able to get in. Gotta wait.
Griff, I did the 20k channel point thing for a mod poll. Not sure what they want to do with that. Oh, did you really?
Oh, right. So you got 1.5, didn't you? And then you kept your original armor regen.
I'm probably just going to give you them back because I can't remember what a mod poll is, Griff.
I'm going to level that up.
Points.
Say again.
You need to sort out your point system. I think you need better benefits.
My point system is garbage. Yes, it does need sorting out. But chat, what I am going to try and do, and I'll announce it now. So I am going to be live on Year 8 Season 1 launch day. I'm going to have a special badge that you can get here. I'm 99% sure that you'll be able to get, but you'll only be able to get it if you subscribe to the channel on that day or gift a sub on that day. But I'll also have a discounted sub rate on that day as well. So Now I've said it, I've kind of got to make sure it definitely happens. Because at the moment it's about 70-30.
When is the launch?
We don't know for sure yet, but we guess around the 2nd. Is how the game is telling us as of right now.
Yeah.
No one will be playing. Everyone will be playing Resurgence.
Well, that's it. No one will want to play this. Everyone's like too pissed off about prototype gear, and they're just like, "Fuck it, I'll play Resurgence instead." Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey Tickle, I've already been on Discord. Suggested that all prototype skill builds show a minor attribute. Rolled double the max, for example, 24 skill damage. Yeah, exactly, damn. Yeah, exactly. The skill gear gets screwed. Can you imagine rolling to prototype and getting nothing? Like I really hope that doesn't make it to the final build. Like,
it's like my 2.1 million armor striker build. I re-rolled it all and I got fucking less armor than it.
I mean the problem they've got is, and there's clearly some problems with the bug with this in the game's code as of right now, because we're looking at said problem already right now. So with Emperor's Guard, mine were rolled to weapon damage. So when I upgraded it to prototype, it breaks, and it does that with any core attribute at the moment. So if you upgrade anything to prototype,
if it's known to drop with that core, that's where it's all bugged.
Yeah, it really.
The bulwark armor went up, but like the striker one that you re-rolled on it didn't.
Yeah, it breaks the core attribute. So the problem that they're gonna have with the extension of what we were just talking about, is that if you roll a piece of gear like strikers, for example, to a yellow core attribute and then upgrade that to prototype, essentially you're forcing the attribute to become terminal at that point. So I don't know if there's some trickery there. Like, that can't be that easy to code. But then also, is there anything that we could abuse in that sense?
Yeah, I was just thinking
like,
that you could force it to go one way.
We can force it.
Yeah, make it the other way. Like, yeah.
But I know we are being stuck with a yellow core, which might not be useful at all. But
do you know what it might be akin to, Tick?
Go on.
Picaro's.
Yeah, Picaro's holster. Yeah.
That sort of.
I did do my Picaro's holster.
Issue, but you could do like. You couldn't do 15-15 because it can't recognise 2 max cores.
So what is interesting though, Picaro's holster works absolutely fine. So you can see mine here with armor and the weapon damage. My Picaro's holster actually double terminaled, as you can see, but that's obviously because the weapon damage is a yellow stat. So.
Right, yeah, I get you.
So yeah, interesting, really. So yeah, I don't know.
What would it have done if you? Oh well, we know what it would have done if you'd had a red car.
It's gonna suck to get a good roll on a god roll chest or backpack like Lengmore chest with crit chance, crit damage. So that's actually a very good point, Dan, which we'll probably talk about now, right? Let's just so if I put my chain killer on, so let's just here you go. We could do it here now, right? We can actually do it. We'll go into the Proto Lab. So there we go, right? There is my god roll Lengmore chest piece, right?
It's not going to change your rolls, though, so I don't understand.
Dan, stop skipping ahead of me story.
Sorry.
You're spoiling it. You're ruining the ending.
I'll go get a beer.
This man's ruining my endings, chat. He's reading you the final pages when I'm trying to get us there.
God damn good.
So this is my god roll. Let's go back. Let's just forget that just happened. This is my god roll Lengmore chest piece, right? Now this is really, really hard to get, right? We all know how hard this is to get because you've got to get a crit chance, crit damage, and glass cannon roll, right? This is when we used to be able to mule characters and you would use an entire character just to craft nothing but, buy Lengmore pieces, deconstruct, and then, just basically craft nothing but Lengmore chests and hope for the best out of like 15,000 SHD points, like, you know what I mean? And stuff and things like that. So same as Habsburg. Yeah, exactly. We've got a few sets in the game that are really, really tough because the core attributes roll odd in comparison to what the actual brand set bonuses and attributes actually are. So the problem with this is that I already know when I roll this, it's going to break, right? It's gonna bug it, right? It's gonna bug it, and the core attribute's going to break. It's gonna go to 0. So, but let's just pretend that that's not going to happen. And there we go.
Side note, did you check to see if it actually is, if that's just a visual bug or if it actually is 0?
No, I didn't know. I didn't do the maths on that. But this is kind of perfect anyway. So let's just pretend that it did max out my weapon damage here. And the weapon damage went... oh, there you go. Dognuts says it's actually 0. Thank you, Mr. Dognuts.
Okay, cool.
Brilliant. It's actually 0. But let's just pretend it wasn't, right? Let's just pretend it's nothing. That this actually went terminal, right? And we got the max roll here on weapon damage. The problem that people will are clearly seeing here is that these two are blank, right? These two are blank, and it's not because they're shit, because they still max rolled in the essence of, you know, the gear that we've got now. But they're not terminal. So visual wise, it looks pretty horrible, right? It's not a great system when it looks. Now somewhere else that I tend to be, we're talking about this, and I think they did a really good example of something. And let's go orange, and let's just fill this up, right? So say it still looked like that, right? Say it still looked like that, right? Their min roll for prototype, yeah. So I think that they should still be like this, right? But then what if this did go terminal? What if this did go terminal and went to what would it go to? 6? It goes to 9, wouldn't it? What if that went to 9? 9%, yeah. Like that. And then what if it like had a second bar over the top? I think that'd be better, wouldn't it? I kind of like that. I kind of like that idea because it doesn't throw your OCD off, you know, and it also like still represents the effort that you put into getting that piece, if that makes sense as well. Like, you know what I mean? DJ Tickle, massive UI designer. I think that's a great storyboard for a Monday morning. Like, you know what I mean? Sit around, get a brew. This is the storyboard. But I think that's pretty good, right? I think that's quite a good idea. Because then you still get the visual representation of what you've already done to the gear, but then now it's like, yeah, it's snipping tool. you don't lose out, right? You don't feel like you lose out. And as of right now, you feel like you've lost out. Like, and even though you've not, you know, and this is what Dan was just saying before, you know, you've still had an upgrade, you know, in one of the 3 stats, or maybe 2 in the 3 stats, or if you're really lucky, 3 in the 3 of the stats. Like, you know what I mean?
I guess my thing with that is that the precedent for this is already set in the game, right? Like, superior gear does not do this to show how much better high-end gear is, and people like are okay with that, right?
Well,
so
that's because the final stats are higher number, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and so it is in prototype.
Yeah, but so I can't remember what it is. I don't know what crit chance is on superior gear, but is it like 4%? But that if you got 4% on that, it would look maxed. You know what I mean? Whereas on a high end, 6 looks maxed, 4 wouldn't look maxed. So you still have that visual representation, don't you?
Maybe I'm not following, because superior doesn't fill.
It would, yeah, it would fill at 4%. It'd be max.
It fills at 4, right? So then when you go to high end, it fills at 6.
Yes.
Just like in prototype, when you get 9, it fills all the way to 9. Is it the concept just that there's no bar at all?
Yes.
Or
yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
following.
Yeah, so it's superior if you've got 4%. It's gonna look maxed, like, you know what I mean. And that's the thing in it. Whereas with
it's just that it's an empty bar. Yeah.
yes, it's the empty bar visualization that's throwing people off. Like, you know what I mean.
I hear you.
And
I
even
can
though
get behind that.
and even though it's an upgrade, which we know because we got the core attribute right, we got the extra 1.5 times on the weapon damage at the top, so we definitely got an upgrade. And then we got an augment on the top as well, which could be an even bigger upgrade. It's you know, but yeah, I imagine that would be a massive, hefty UI design change, and you know, probably a huge amount of work. When do we really need it? Like, and if you go into resources, you'd be like, hang on, I'd rather you make sure this is done or this done. Yeah, this kind of stuff is probably fairly low down the ladder, I would guess.
Yeah. I agree. Obviously it's easy to hindsight 2020 and be like, hey, this would have been a much better design, right? Like no arguments there at all.
Yeah, exactly.
But if I had to trade off, like, do we want to fix this or work on the next thing? That's a question. Yeah,
exactly.
You really gotta ask yourself that.
Did they change the expertise costs at all? Not in the PTS, so we still don't know what the new expertise costs are going to be, unfortunately. And I don't think we're going to know probably until patch notes. I don't think we'll know at all unless they do another live. And I can't. Would they do another live for launch of this? Do we normally get another live after the one that we've already had for the PTS? Maybe we will get another live. Maybe we will get another live.
Don't they do a live to like?
Hey, Astro, how you doing, mate?
Get into the story aspect.
Yeah,
I thought they did. But
maybe we will get another live because they do normally talk to us and show us about the season pass stuff, don't they? And the gear and we always see the vanity, don't we? We always get some kind of vanity show and things like that.
And they'll go over drops if there's drops.
Yeah, talk about Twitch drops. Yeah, that's a good point. Hey, Kringil, how you doing, my mum? That's a good point.
One, did they commit to fixing expertise in the next patch, or just that it was coming? That's.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Sorry, mate. Go on, say it again.
No, did they commit to the expertise passes happening in this season, this patch, or just that they committed that a change was coming?
Just the change was coming.
Gotcha.
Send me the link, Astro. Send me the link, my friend. Send me the link. I don't think the bot's gonna ban you. I think you're gonna be able to just send it.
Tixie left because he didn't want to hear my voice anymore.
Tixie's fed up with me waffling. He wants to play rather than waffle. Oh, it did get you, but I've got the link anyway. This is good because this means my bot's working and I didn't think it was working. So this will be interesting, chat, because this is going to give us a good bit of feedback from a speedrunner perspective. Oh, he's Google Doc'd it. Holy shit, Astro.
Man after my own heart.
Okay, we're good. It's not War and Peace. We're all right. We're okay. Bro novel. This is good though, chat. This is good. So yeah, chat. This is ETF life, chat. This is ETF life. You think we're just chilling in that ETF program? Like, you know what I mean? You know, I just clicked it, Leah. Can I change it from light mode? It's hurting my eyes a little bit. I have the app. Where do I change it away from light mode? Hide accounts. Why is it is like a flashbang, but I can't find dark mode anywhere. Does anyone know where dark mode is? Can't find it. I can't find it. So we're gonna flashbang, chat. Sorry if it's like dark where you are. All right, so escalation overview. So first, let's establish what this new game mode is attempting to do. Escalation's goal is to provide added difficulty to existing content without modifying existing content beyond increasing enemy strength or combat of difficulty. That's good. With the next question being why? Why add an additional layer of difficulty to existing content instead of creating new one? My assumption is twofold. The first, searching for an applicable answer to the power creep within the gear economy, and the second being scope limitations. I won't go into detail around scope limitations, as I'm quite sure at this point it would be rather clear that given the pace in which they must continue to release content to keep momentum going within the game is still developing. Yeah, okay, that's good, I agree. Yeah, okay, it's good. Let's discuss power creep. Right, let's discuss. So, said power creep has developed over years during the game's hibernation. I won't say death, but essentially the game's dying and being brought back to life with limited scope and budget, and or time span where the developers had no choice in what kind of content they could add, meaning they could only add new things into the current scope of the game's systems, leading to ever common problems of adding in new gear that must be meaningful, or as players will not find any motivation to drive or consume or purchase newly released content. Yeah, and I agree absolutely with that. You know, we had expertise, and that was in itself was a problem because that was meant to be an end game, but then when they started adding more and more gear, that became out of hand. Gear saturation has certainly been a thing. Absolutely. DJ podcast coming soon. All right, so the first issue resulted in such things as expertise systems creation at first, and then paired with new evolving gear as support for the game returned. Yeah, exactly what we've just said. Great minds. In order to truly get the economy back under control, they would need to fully rebalance both the players' strengths and enemies' strength. However, this would mean the previous systems they have developed would effectively be nullified, and the players' time investment would be forfeited. With the introduction of the new gear and tipping scales back and forth, PvE difficulty actually existing. Chat, you use tipping scales though, and not in the tipping scales gear set, you know. Which is obviously why, and I don't know if he's going to mention this, but it's obviously why we saw the cap being added to expertise. It's why we saw the disappearance of SHD muling, like, you know what I mean? So, you know, that this thought process has clearly been happening for a much longer time than what most people probably think. This is what we see traditionally occur in other games of similar genre called sunsetting, where players' relative power is reset and new gear is introduced, rendering the previous gear obsolete with the new current content. Games like WoW, previously Destiny, took this approach. Yeah, many games do that. Final Fantasy XIV still takes that approach now with every expansion that comes out, and that gear is still usable and still available, and you can still use it in older content if you really want to, but you'd be at a quite heavy disadvantage using it in whatever is new, you know, and things like that. Yeah, okay, good. And I think Division's never really had that. I mean, the only time we've ever really had that is when they have forced that gear jump, right, from 30 to 40. That's the only time Division's ever really had that. Whereas in other games, it's actually much more common that they do that kind of thing. With prototype gear, we are getting a version of this that, for example purposes, we will call a soft sunsetting. Yep, exactly. Let me just scroll this up. Where if you want to be able to have success in this new mode and the new difficulties, you must pursue this new tier of gear, prototype, effectively sunsetting your old gear. However, the pressure from the current systems and the player time investment, expertise, and plus years of unchecked gear acquisition places the developers in an impossible situation where they cannot ignore current gear or meaningfully change it without the assumption that what remains of the player base would be outraged and potentially depart from the game, meaning losing monetizable users. Exactly. Yeah, can you imagine if they went go level 50. Like, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, everything you have ever farmed is now rip. Like, you know what I mean? That is obviously what they've thought that they want to do. You know what I mean? Like, because that would kill the game. Like, we've had all this recent success with the game's numbers going up and up and up and up and up. The game's been doing incredibly well. Like, it's all of a sudden on all these big streamers and content creators' radars again, who have not played it for years or have never played it ever before. Like, it's done so well recently. So if they did do that and the veteran player base got angry, everybody would just leave. Like, it would literally kill the game off. That would be a crazy thing to do. IKEA did a post as well. Okay, we'll check that out as well in a minute. I agree. Yeah, they must have a grind. It must have a grind. Yeah. So okay, let me just find where we're up to. Okay. Thus creating even more power creep with the intention to meet this new tier of gear with the new difficulty to prevent users from steamrolling all existing and future content. I like to use that same phrase, Astral, of steamrolling. I use it a lot as well. I like it. In theory, this approach should work. It gives players new gear to chase, not new builds, just the same builds but stronger, providing players a reason to play again, even if artificial. It allows them to upgrade their current gear in which they have invested hours, not only acquiring but also upgrading due to the compounding system of expertise, meaning that the player should feel good that their time hasn't been wasted, while also creating a new sandbox for players to utilize the new tier of power within the new tier of power within new power within, while still providing them a sense of growing power via the increasing tiers of escalation, essentially attempting to simulate the feeling of gearing up to move through the standard difficulties of normal heroic through acquisition of higher rarity gear and more cohesive builds. Spot on. Absolutely in agreement so far. Difficulty. The primary issue here lies in the approach to defining what difficulty means within the Division 2. As defined currently, it simply means enemies' base HP and outgoing damage scales upwards. This is fine when a player can also scale upwards equally as an offset, in which that offset typically defines what actual difficulty is meant at that level. Within this system, the players cannot scale upwards equally, but instead it scales one-dimensionally, meaning that the player can increase the damage output to a cap. However, they cannot increase their survivability in relation to the new demands of incoming damage. This is why you typically see difficulties cap out at certain delta that captures the desired experience combat difficulty, where the hardest modes always have the highest offset between the player and the enemies, but to a limit. And I actually agree with that in some ways, and it actually stands out even more so when you try to use skills, right? So if you've played Escalation and you try and use your shield in any of the higher tiers, it is gone so quick. Like, so quick. The enemy's damage is so big. It does make certain things extremely redundant. Like, extremely redundant. Escalation does not respect said limit, meaning that a certain delta of player will continue to die instantly while still being required to output exponentially increasing damage to defeat an enemy. This concept, paired with the extra modifiers whose sole purpose to increase friction and add difficulty, creates an extremely unfun play experience where the user must find locations they can stand in which they can cheese and not receive any damage at all while still being able to deal damage, making the cover system obsolete due to how the mechanics work at its core by effectively reducing the enemy's accuracy and percent of fired bullets connecting with you while you're shooting from cover. So I kind of agree and disagree with that statement a little bit. What I find very unlikable about it is Hotfoot. I think Hotfoot breaks the cover shooter mechanic of the game. So
to be fair, I think that's what he's saying without actually calling out Hotfoot.
yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think so. If you're gonna make things extremely hard and outscale the enemies to us, you've got to bring in a skill gap for me, right? You've got to fight. A player's got to be then. You can't just face roll NPCs, right? You've got to bring in a skill gap. And whereas you want the game then to be taken back to its roots, where it's a cover shooter, we've not been, and Yannick even talked about this, right? We've not been an in-cover shooter for a long time, like a long time. And if you're going to force us back into them roots by making the game incredibly difficult in, these various ways, a modifier like Hotfoot breaks that a little bit. And it really is the only one out of all of them that I think kind of break that. I've always had problems with Hotfoot. Like it's just not and they did say that they might change them. What mutators they call, aren't they? They might break them mutators, but Hotfoot is incredibly, it kind of kills that experience quite harsh in some respects, especially if you're trying to do it solo. In a team, it's forgivable because you've always got an extra res with a teammate next to you. But Hotfoot does ruin that ethos completely. I absolutely agree.
I think I believe it only shocks you. I don't think it actually damages you, but completely agree.
Well, it does damage you.
It does damage you, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. When I was playing it today, it didn't damage me.
Biker put a full Hasbro build on
to nullify it.
To nullify it, but it actually takes half your armor.
Takes it.
I don't think, unless like the session that I was playing, I was in T10 with Prime today, and you can just get shocked, and it did not take away my armor. It just
a doctored T10 session.
Maybe bro.
No, but it stands you up, but it did not take away my armor.
Right, so Biker said he wasn't getting the shot,
and I was not Hasbro, to be
knocking him out of cover, but it was in fact taking half his armor away when it procced.
That was always my impression, that it took 50% of your armor, and then so 2 hits with it meant you were dead.
I mean, I have a T6. I mean, that introduces Hotfoot. We can definitely.
Yeah, maybe we should try that then. Yeah, absolutely.
When we were in T10 earlier, but the point to what we're talking about, I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
You can't say get back into cover, but wait, we actually don't want you in cover. We want you, and you have to move around a lot.
So yeah, I mean, and maybe that's the fix to it a little bit, right? Because when you're in cover with Hotfoot, and if they're saying that Hotfoot is the thing that they're gonna keep, when you're in cover, it's way too hard to move in cover to keep the bar down. You can be shaking back and forth in cover, and it's not enough. You have to actually get out of cover and move. Yeah. So it kind of forces us down the backfire Hasbro build and stuff and things like that. And I don't want to be forced down that route. I want to play the game as a cover shooter. And
I mean, you'll still be dead though, because the Hasbro build, like we just said, you get stripped.
You still take damage. Yeah, it solves the getting shocked, but not the
damage. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You won't get knocked out of cover, but you will lose at 50%.
Yeah.
So this primary nuance truly boils down to defining difficulty, with the issue being difficulty is not one-dimensional. These things, the things being more difficult means a multitude of factors all working together to create challenging and a fun experience. Lean too far in one direction and the experience becomes frustrating, and for most of the users the feeling is impossible. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that, and Hotfoot's a great example of that. So what makes up difficulty? Combat strength offset, so the relative offset between the player's strength and the enemy's strength in combat. Enemy behavior, attack patterns or spells, so things the users must learn and adapt around while fighting said enemy to find success. Enemy density, the sheer number of enemies that you must deal with at the same time. The presence of exterior mechanics or objectives Additional actions the player must take live within the environment that provide additional items they must address outside of them, just and the enemy. Yeah, so like raid mechanics and stuff and things like that. Yep. Presence of environmental hazards, additional things that live within the world that are either the outcome of an attack or built in there by default. Yeah, okay, exactly. The key to balance is the utilization between all of the above and the components to create meaningful challenges that can be mastered over time and experience is paired with. In the game's case, this is proper utilization of builds and gear. Leaning too far in one direction without compensating the player properly will result in what we see with escalation. The gear economy. Oh, this is where it's going to get juicy, chat. This is where it's going to get juicy. Alright, are we ready? So, gear economy. My last point relates to the gear economy. For the sake of the time, I will address the expected acquisition and output of the new prototype gear. Prototype gear can be acquired through two channels: upgrading existing expertise 30 gear, not exotic, or get it as a loot drop within escalation. The expected frequency of getting an actual loot drop within escalation currently is 50% chance to see one piece from a single completion of a tier 10 run, the hardest difficulty offered, meaning that we can expect an exponential decrease in odds to see the drop in all other tiers. This is because somebody's data mined it. This level, the 50% got around really quick. really quick.
I missed what you said.
So the tier 10 gives a 50% chance of you getting one piece of a prototype gear. Obviously, you can get.
I don't even know if that's data mining. I think Beersy said it to Toasty.
Oh, did he really?
Toasty, well, not that clearly, but Toasty said, I've gotten one piece of prototype for my 2 T10 clears, and Beersy said, yep, that's right. We expect one drop every 2 runs.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's...
There may or may not be the stats out from the data mine. There may or may not.
I was watching Toasty trying to do tier 10s, and the guys in A were doing tier 5, 6, and they were dropping quite a lot.
Yeah, because it's only like, from what I remember, it's not a massive decrease. It's like 40% and 30%. Yeah, it's not a massive decrease. So
they drop more basically than Toasty doing the harder levels.
Yeah, that's RNG as well, though, isn't it? So
exactly, yeah.
Okay. So it becomes more time efficient to not engage with the new mode in terms of actually farming for suitable gear, because upgrading to expertise 30 gear will be far more time effective, which is a result of soft sunsetting mentioned above, turning the new mode strictly into a means to an end to obtain the new prototype currency that you need to upgrade the gear. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Everyone, and especially when they level, they nerf expertise and lower the values, that's gonna, it's so good, easy for us to obtain materials to upgrade to 30 expertise. That's exactly what.
Then there's another tier of farming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I absolutely agree. Yeah. So how could that be possible? When you upgrade an expertise 30 item, it keeps all of its rolled attributes and talents, giving you one max rolled stat with a small chance of a second max stat being rolled, thus removing the RNG of getting the exact item you want, plus exact stats you want, in some cases the exact talent you want. Due to prototype gear not being able to be optimized and recalled, and targeted loot not influencing it, this means that your odds of getting the exact piece you would want is essentially rolling near a 0% chance of happening due to how expansive the gear pool is now, with the following being a loose estimate of how many cascading layers of RNG and needing to roll. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So trying to get a all red. You're never getting a piece that, if something drops on the floor that is something that you would actually use, that truly is probably like a that should get 1 million views on YouTube.
It's not a unicorn. That it's like fucking. You might
and it's not even. guaranteed to be
Should've
god
won
roll.
Lara,
No, exactly. Yeah.
That's the and I know that's not like the most important thing, but yeah, to get the piece you want, let alone let it be god rolled, you
Yeah.
probably have a better chance at actually winning the lotto.
So we've got the item slot types, the archetype types, armor cores, weapon attribute, talent types, landing max rolls stats. This will need to happen 2-3 times. Okay, yeah, exactly, yeah. I absolutely agree.
Let's do tier 6. Come on.
You'd have a better chance.
Sorry, I apologise. Carry on reading.
Yeah, no, I'm going to finish this, and then we're going to look at. We're nearly there. We're going to look at IKEA's thing as well, and then we'll check. In fact, we'll do this. We'll check the hot foot, and then we'll look at IKEA. So we'll split it up a bit. Yeah, exactly. You should definitely be putting on the lottery. If you've got that god roll drop, go and do the lottery. Absolutely.
I'd rather get a god roll. No,
Yeah.
kidding.
The day the game, the new mold drops, like blah blah blah. Imagine someone saying, "I just started my escalation here. Look at this for a piece." And you're
Well,
like,
they've added materials to priority missions. That's crazy. I am Dr. Funky. Yeah, I am. Additionally, not all missions are created equal. Some will take 30 minutes on tier 10 and others will take the full 1 hour. Some enemies are inherently more difficult or less difficult due to their core design, resulting in users waiting for a good mission to be in the rotation before they even consider spending any meaningful time farming it. We saw this exact player behaviour when targeted loot was first introduced with Lincoln Memorial. Players will always optimise the fun out of farming because it's seen as a means to actually enjoy the end game content, traditionally raids and dungeons, rather than being the entire experience. Yeah, and I mentioned this somewhere else as well. It exactly reminds me of. Do you remember Fenris Day in the DZ? Like everybody went wild. They were like, oh my god, drop what you're doing, book the day off, it's Christmas Day, it's Fenris in the DZ. Like, everybody in the DZ, you had PvE groups everywhere in the DZ, farming chess pieces. Like,
helping each other.
Yeah, helping each other out. Like, the world would implode, like, when it was Fenris Day in the DZ. I didn't, Joker, no, I didn't see it.
I thought about you earlier, Tick.
It was. Say again.
I said, imagine when Lincoln's on the fucking escalation calendar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Also, you won't be able to make yellow striker, yellow nego, or tech tanks whatsoever. You will be able to, Dognuts. We talked about that earlier on. But the problem is, at the moment, the system doesn't allocate properly. So if you've got a yellow core on a strikers, it doesn't necessarily mean that when you upgrade it to prototype, that the minor attribute will go terminal, and that I think is a problem. I think if you've got a skill tier on a piece of gear, the minor attribute should go terminal instead. It should never consider the core attribute. But I don't know then if that would then cause a problem with any other gear in the game, because they could take advantage then. Because if you put a skill tier on a piece of gear, you're almost forcing a secondary stat to go terminal. And I don't know if that could be abused in some way. I can't think of a scenario where it could be, but that's what I'm thinking.
I think the gear, the way it's programmed into the game, i.e. this is what that drops with.
Oh, yeah, I get you, Dognuts. So like a HG chess piece, or you can't farm for it with targeted loot because it's never going to have the right core on. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, yeah, I get what you mean. Sorry. Yeah. That is a very good point, actually. Has that been put somewhere in feedback? That is a very good point, by the way.
It is. The challenge to that type of stuff, though, is in a lot of cases, like unicorn builds are so niche and used for something so specific as well that like the likelihood that they'll even be used in content like escalation, especially higher tiers, is close to zero as well.
Yeah. I tell you what, skill builds do get shit on though. Skill builds are terrible in escalation. Like they do get shit.
I don't agree with that actually.
Today the tiers should be out the way, or you should have 1.5% chance, so you could potentially make one piece something else.
in a group today, Refractor was actually really, really nice in T10.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
I don't
Group
think
play.
that they did enough damage necessarily, but like
But they were always hitting the maximum damage they could to give you your armor back, I guess. So
yeah,
that bit
and
felt
like
good.
the healing, especially around, and maybe that's why Hotfoot wasn't as big of a deal because Refractor was in the party. But it was quite nice to have Refractor, because then that's all passive. That's not targeted like a dedicated healer. That's just Refractor doing its thing,
Yeah,
distracting enemies,
giving you
and
that
healing
heals. Yeah.
the other three. I think that is truly going to be the actual meta. Is it's going to be 3 red strikers and a Refractor.
Yeah.
And I think you're just gonna fucking plow content that way. What is it? Steamroll? That's generally just gonna
Steamroll, yeah. I think they'll probably, I think they'll probably do as much as they possibly can, Immortal. I think they'll probably just make a big table and go, right, what's the most important, and they'll do what they can. You can't prototype exotics. No. Right, okay, so potential steps for improvement. All right, Astro style. Wanted to add a brief section here that included potential solutions that I recognize. Just identifying core issues doesn't bring us any closer to any impactful or meaningful changes. Please note, in order to materially improve the system more than I have spent thinking more about it, what it would require. Yeah, okay, so instead of continuously scaling enemy HP and outgoing damage, find a good place to consider a cap or ceiling to the scaling. How hard the design wants it to feel as a baseline to create normalized new difficulty. That accounts for the new strength of prototype gear. Allow users to climb to a baseline of heroic to this cap through the first 5 tiers of escalation, then transition into leveraging the modifiers instead, adding increasing difficulty modifiers as they continue to climb the tiers until they finally reach in tier 10, in which all modifiers are utilized. This effectively creates that feeling of gaining strength through prototype gear acquisition, as well as introducing forms of mastery through the modifiers, leveraging the gear progression to enable users to deal with the enemies easier so that they can focus on modifiers as an additional difficulty as it increases. In terms of improving the gear economy, I will not be proposing any ideas or solutions at this time, as the game's economies are extremely complex subject, especially economies that I have seen so many iterate. Yeah, I agree. Augments within.
Isn't that exactly how the tiers work, though? The tiers do slowly increase, and modifiers are added as you go up in tier.
It does, but what he's proposing is that you stop that scaling that we get at an earlier tier
just use
use modifiers once you got that scaling. So you could effectively push the scaling to max prototype. You know what I mean? You could say, right, max prototype is where we want that new base to be, but without the augments, for instance, because we know the augments are also a power creep. And then at that point, you add a modifier as the way up.
I missed that part.
Yeah, it would just be from the Tidy. Thank you for the 5 months, sir. Thank you. Yeah, exactly, Astro. Yeah. And I think that's very similar to an argument that I've kind of made as well. That at the moment, and even now, like today, I think that it is the modifiers aside. I think it's still too easy. I think that if you're bringing in escalations, and okay, tier 10 might not be the final escalation. You know, we heard Yannick say that tier 20 might be, or 30, or whatever. But I think that when you're bringing this in at this point to be able to complete tier 10, I think you really should have a pretty good prototype build to be able to finish tier 10. And I think if you can kind of go in it with a half-assed prototype build and finish it, then the scaling still doesn't feel right. And that's not even talking about modifiers. Like, you know what I mean? You know, I think that perhaps at tier 7, that's when it should require a good build, and therefore someone's had to farm a number of hours beforehand to get that build to that point, you know, and in doing so, had to repeat tier 1 to 7 many times, so that then they can then go, yeah, do you know what? I can do tier 8 now. Yeah, I can do tier 9 now. Because I feel like if you're able to get into tier 10 with pretty average gear, what then is ever going to be the reasoning to push yourself through the pain of, you know, 10 and 9 and 7 when there's no real need at that point, because I can kind of do the lower tiers faster and more efficiently to get, you know, potentially more cores. But yeah, no, I agree. Augments. With this brief write-up, I also did not discuss augments. Essentially a new talent slot. I think this includes some issues. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. No, I agree. I agree with everything you say, Astro. I absolutely agree. I think you've got a very, very good take on it there, mate, to be honest. I think you have. Do away with the tokens and gambling and just let you play. No, mate. It's you're good, mate. You're always a good one. You know what you're talking about. It was definitely worth a read.
No, that at least that was 1,000.
You're on point. And I said very similar things. I was giving some feedback earlier on, and I'm in a very similar place to you. Like, it's too difficult to balance out everything at the moment because like, I don't think the escalation difficulty scales quite where I want it to be. I don't like hot foot, and then I'm conflicted about the drops a little bit, like, but then I don't want the drops to be too easy. But then we don't know how easy leveling up expertise is going to be. So I think it kind of there's a lot of moving parts that aren't quite gelling at the moment, you know.
It's tough to, like, for me, like they're trying to do two things at once, right? They're making the prototype gear extremely rare, but then once it drops, that's it. You can't change it. So like the big problem that I have with it is, like, I guess choose one or the other. Either make it so that you can't target it and you can't adjust it, and then make it farmable, or just make it like god rolled and make it rare as fuck. Because even if it dropped god roll, if you can't target it and you can't change it, still the likelihood of you getting the piece of gear that you want is near zero. So I think they're just trying to do too much at once.
I don't think it's farmable gear. I think I've got that's my favorite build. I can now make it more powerful. Simple as, just leave it.
Yeah, but like, I don't know if that's their actual intent. I mean, they've come out and said they want it to be farmable and craftable.
I don't think so, Griff.
I guess
Sorry, go on.
The thing is, like, I know that they can change it, right? Like, this is not set in stone. Like, the upgrade process is what is set in stone. Everything else can still be changed. So like, I mean, it's not all doom and gloom as long as they get the
balance has got to be, yeah,
the upgrading part, right? Because they can always flip the switch and make them god rolled when they drop. They can always flip the switch and make it more common. They can always flip the switch and allow you to farm proto cores in a different way. But once they set in stone what the upgrade process is, they can't change it, because if they suddenly say, wait, you're right, let's make upgrading whatever, then they have to figure out how to fix it for everybody else that they already let upgrade. But yeah, I think they're just leaning too hard into this is like damn near impossible in general, while instead of just, like you said, taking that line and saying, well, let's wipe everything and go to 50, they're trying to find a happy middle ground for veterans without actually solving anything.
Astro, are you not in the ETF?
Uh-oh.
I thought you were.
He should be in there. He's always been knowledgeable.
Well,
and
you never got
very-
approved. Okay. Okay. I will I'll put it in there for you. I'll do you a solid. I seen some of your friends in there. I just assumed you was in there as well. I think we all know if Astro was in the ETF, it would never have got through. Pom, I seen your comment then. That's similar to what IKEA thinks, right? No stat boost, but just the augments. And I think you're certainly overestimating the control the ETF has, Pom.
Yeah, and actually that was something that I'd provide some feedback on as well. I think people would have been just as happy if upgrading a prototype simply got them the augments.
Yes.
I think
yeah.
that's definitely a path that they could have taken.
Yeah.
And feedback that I had provided.
I'm guessing that's IKEA's. Before we go into escalation and test Hotfoot, let's have a quick look at what IKEA said, because it's not a huge write up. But it kind of leads us in. It leads us in very nicely. Yeah, well, escalation certainly is what they want veterans to be playing, right? They don't want. It's not for newer players. That's definitely they've not been shy in saying that. Like, you know what I mean? They've definitely not been shy in saying that. All right. So TLDR, I love it. He's put it right at the top. Keep the augments, lose the stats. For those not interested in the full rant I'm about to have here, the short of it all is the choice that devs are making here to transition the game from a build-based game to a loot one with the current PTS implementation of prototype gear. Feels like a betrayal of the core of what actually draws a large part of its player base to Div 2, including me. And then the worst of it is they're not even going to cater to the people that are all about the shiny loot, as this version in the PTS is the absolute worst way, we capped it, you could have implemented it, and will not lead to farming gear. There's no real way to actually farm for prototype gear. It will only be viable through upgrading, as there is no targeted loot, nor is there recal on prototype gear. Okay. Which is right? We've already discussed this already. We've already discussed this already, that crafting, expertise in and crafting is definitely going to be the way to go, you know? Pom, do you mean because it's just too easy? Out. Thank you for the sub, man. Sorry, I didn't see that. Thank you so much for the sub, mate. Welcome back for the 7 months. Thank you so much. Yeah. But, I mean, so that's difficult, right? So, in that sense, we're kind of saying, though, that we don't want them to do this until they rebalance the rest of the game completely with difficulty. Because I think from a step-by-step process point of view, one or the other's got to come first, right? They can't give it us all at the same time. So if they give us the gear now and we can start to grind to be ready, is that kind of what they're doing before they redo other missions and the rest of the open world and the raids and the incursions? And I know that might necessarily not be the right thing to do. I'm not saying that they're doing it exactly the right way or the wrong way, but I mean, you know, we know that there's changes coming to the open world missions for difficulty. We know there's changes coming to the raids for missions and stuff and things like that. Maybe the solution to that was normalize it everywhere else apart from escalation. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of that was my initial thought process on this as well, that maybe everything should be normalized outside of escalation. But again, I'm not a developer. I don't know how easy that is. You know, I don't know the thought process on why. maybe that they want everything in the game now to be beaten, you know, for this season. Let everything be beaten, let everybody farm because they know what's coming next. You know, so I don't really know.
It's not active in PvP, it's not active in raids, it's not active in incursions. So what do you, if you're already so powerful in the open world as it stands, like what is a little bit of win more in an open world than something that is completely irrelevant?
Hey Tony. Yeah, the only place I feel like, so I don't feel, so yeah, okay, it's going to make heroic missions extremely easy that are already extremely easy. Legendary is a bit of a tough call because although in a team of 4 level 30 expertise people, we can steamroll it, there still is an element of making sure you're aware of what you're doing. And that element might slip in a team of 4. I'm worried about Master. I really like how Master's balanced right now. Solo Master is a really good challenge at the end of every season. And I feel like Prototype might do away with that a little bit. But could I do it in my level 30 expertise gear? Absolutely, I could do, right? Have I got enough self you know, have I got enough self-control to do that? Probably not. Like
the benefit is they have 12 weeks to sort that out though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They do have time to sort out whether they'll normalize it for Master or not. That's not a day 1 impact.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Yeah, 60% damage is definitely not little. On top of the augments that we get as well, it's definitely not a little increase, that's for sure. Yeah, we don't know about Master. We've not been told. I mean, I talked about this a little bit.
Where do you get that 60% damage?
It's not 60% damage, but
yeah, he's talking about adding it all up in here, I think. But
no, I mean, does that not require a massive grind though, which is what the game's all about?
No, so to get the weapon damage stat, it requires you to roll, doesn't it, from, you know, gear set or brand set once. But you've got to get lucky getting the weapon damage roll and not your critical hit damage roll, essentially, haven't you? Like, you know what I mean? So, but that is probably the first place many people will be, you know, rolling to get your weapon damage roll.
Well, they're just dry base.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's not amplified or anything. So.
It's 60% additive weapon damage, right? So it is 60%. But it's not 60% more damage.
Yeah, it's not. So when you look at the burst damage stat, it's not a flat 60%. Like, yeah, that makes sense. We don't know about Master. Are they going to balance it around players having Prototype or not having it? It's not going to be easy for Pro. I don't think they could balance the Master around having Prototype, because then a lot of the player base wouldn't be able to do it. Like, I just don't think they could do that. So it will be interesting to see what they do with Master. But like Orion said, then they've got the entire of the season to figure that out, right? It's the last 2 weeks of the season that we get to do that. So, but they never go. So and I've seen the only thing I will disagree with you there a little bit is the kick scenario. Because we see that now. With Countdown, right? I got into Countdown with my alternative account that doesn't have 1,000 SHD score. I get kicked. Like, you know what I mean? If they can't account for toxic players. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the players will be toxic and will kick people if they're unhappy with somebody's build, right? That they can't account for that. Like,
I don't think they kick. The actual normal people don't kick low level people, they just kick bad builds.
No, I've gone in with a Strikers build at 600 SHD and been kicked multiple times. Like,
I've been kicked in the beginning when I first started my PC.
I'd kick you know.
Yeah, thanks, mate. That's like, I don't think they can account. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and obviously, right, and it won't all be the fact that I got kicked because of my low SHD. Some of it will. Some of it will be the fact that, oh look, it's Tickle, that dickhead, I'll kick him. I don't like him. Like, as a content creator, like, you know, as a creator, I've not been shy to some abuse every now and again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I get that as well.
That's a social issue, not
yeah. But I mean, people that kick people are dickheads. Like, unless the person is queuing and clearly shouldn't be queuing, kicking the person isn't necessarily the right thing to do. Like, you know, you could always send them a message and go, you probably shouldn't be doing this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, or you choose to carry them. Like, you make a nice social choice. Just kicking someone's a bit of a dick move, let's face it.
Well, and they might surprise you and just be like someone like myself that has a high level shade account on a different platform,
So can play the game. Yeah.
And might have low shade, and maybe I don't have expertise 30 and do exactly the same damage, but I carry my weight, right? Like, maybe you'll be surprised, maybe you won't, right?
They
But
will. They shouldn't kick you off the bat.
I think
yeah, agreed. Give me a chance to suck.
Give you a chance to suck. Yeah, exactly. I think, Benny, like, the idea is though that it's not aimed at you, and I know that kind of sucks that something's coming out that you can't be doing day one, but I think they're not aiming it at you as a player. They're aiming it at people that have jumped into the game and min-maxed the whole lot and got 30 expertise.
I think it's a win. Like I said earlier, it's a win-win-win on 3 platform levels. So people that have just got to level 30.
I agree, Marzi. Yeah, so you make a very good point there. So, like, I don't think I would ever matchmake for escalation because of the token, because of the token feature. I don't want to risk my tokens on random people. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that will lead to some toxicity with people that do, like, because somebody can be, 50,000 SHD shade player and suck at playing the game, like, you know what I mean? Or if they've got
talking about me, though,
yes, Dan, I am, yeah.
Yeah,
or you could just troll people. You could just troll people, right? I could jump into it, like, and be let somebody put 100 tokens in the bank, and be like, do you know what? Fuck it, I'm just gonna go and watch a film instead, and just log out, or cause the team to wipe, or whatever. Like, you can be pretty toxic with a token involved system, like, you know what I mean? So I think like Pom was saying, that there's a lot of ways to be, not just kicking. There's a lot of ways to be super toxic with these kind of systems. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll get kicked. Yeah, exactly. People will kick people. Yeah, but then they'll eventually get the rewards from doing that, right? When you think about it, because they'll kick a player that looks shit, and then a player will come in that looks mint because they're like, oh yeah, look at the. Let's have a wank over that SHD score. It's a creamy one, and then that player's terrible. Like, you know what I mean? So, that, like, for me, like, this kind of content, I'll just play with people I know. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'll play with people on stream. I'll play with you guys in the chat. Like, you know what I mean? But I certainly won't be hitting the matchmaking button.
Why I don't do fucking countdown.
I definitely won't.
With me clan. But I don't like it with random.
Unless I get to the point where I'm like absolutely Scrooge McDuck on the coins, like, you know what I mean? If I've got a bank vault full of them, and I could swim around in my bank vault and have a shit ton of coins.
At the end of the season, anyway.
Yeah, and they reset at the end of the season. I've got a few 100,000 of them stacked up, and it's the end of the season's tomorrow. Then why not? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll just jump in and matchmake and not really care too much about it. But I think, like, yeah, until we figure out how that economy is and how good that economy is, then we're not going to know, right? We're not going to know. But kicking people's a dick move. Like, if you've gone into matchmaking, you've gone into matchmaking, accept your fate. Like, don't be a dick about it. Like, you know? You can, Benny, yeah, you can. And essentially, they're obviously signing up for that, right? So by introducing prototype gear, they're obviously signing up with everything else in the game, like heroics and legendaries and whatever, to be easier for this season. Like, you know what I mean? So you at this point, then you've got to hope that the bigger plan is better. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is the bigger plan? What's wrong with being a dick? Exactly, Carlos. Sorry, Carlo. Exactly. You will have the people that have just cheesed the way to 1000 SHD or whatever and are terrible at playing the game. And then, you kick the person who's mint at playing the game because he's 500 SHD. Like, you know what I mean? Like, exactly. Unreal. What does the rest of IKEA's message say? Well, that's a good point. And thank you for putting me back on track. Let's do this. So, there is one thing I disagree with his opening statement, actually. Because we didn't always have optimization and reroll and recal. Like, when we went back to Gear 1.0, this system that they're introducing is very much like that. We had to farm for we had to farm.
Potentially.
Now, obviously, we did have a form of targeted loot because we knew what loot was in what mission on what day. Like, you know what I mean? And you could hop around the map and do things like that. But his initial statement is slightly skewed by that he's talking about what Astro talked about a little bit before, an evolved version of Division 2 that's evolved with multiple systems over the year and where we're at now. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't disagree with him, but I think you've got to include, that's got to be a part of the concept, right? So let's move on. So the game has always been about building wide, absolutely. As in multiple builds that are easy to max out instead of building tall. Whereas you invest your time into making one build the best it can be. Now they're sacrificing that at the altar of shiny loot with prototype gear, and along the way you are breaking several parts of the game. Unreal, thank you for the prime. I appreciate you, mate. Thank you for the sub. Very, very kind. Okay, so let's carry on reading because I'm not sure what that statement actually means.
No,
How I despise this rarity to surpass Metal Gear. Let me count the ways. Okay, it breaks the build uniformity and has been one of the Gear's greatest effects, and that is Gear 2.0. Okay, so he's talking about Gear 2.0 has had since the introduction of optimization. Okay, where two people with a bit of invested time could have the same build with the same stats, and with some time invested into expertise, you and me will have exact same build and hit for the same numbers. From that point onwards, is a macross. What is that word?
meritocracy.
He's talking some big words here.
Meritocracy?
Yeah, but what does it mean?
It's like
Social or political system where power rewards, and status distribute based on individual ability, talent. Hey, that is a good word.
It's a system based off merit. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, system based off merit.
so
Yeah.
what you've earned.
Yeah, it's a good word.
So which was my argument, wasn't it? So
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's good.
in
It's a good way of describing it. I agree.
someone can have a better build than me if they'll
And based on
expertise.
player
your,
skill.
Your shit dang good. It's okay.
So,
Don't
with the
progress.
randomness of prototype gear, it becomes about who got luckier. There is not even really a way to influence that luck. A person that got lucky and got more stats will be at a severe advantage. Okay. All right. Yeah, I understand what he's saying. Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
I don't know if I agree with the severe advantage statement, though. I would say
It depends where you look at severe advantage, right? So he's saying
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with the way he's presenting severe advantage. But
yeah, so severe
obviously
advantage in the fact that this is what we were saying a little bit before. It took me 100 hours to get the rolls that took you 5. Like you know what I mean? In that sense, it really is a severe advantage, right? The lottery advantage essentially, isn't it? Like, Dave down the
you can control your fate and upgrade via expertise and get 90% of the way there, though. Well,
Yes.
maybe not 90, but you can get majority of the way there. And that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, like severe, right? Like, I don't know if I agree with severe. I think that's a little parabolic.
Yeah. But I mean, So the argument from the other side of the argument here from Massive is that they don't want people to have this day one. Like, you know what I mean? Or if they do, that just like one piece that might not be perfect. Like so the reason they've gone random is that they want this to be rare and hard to achieve. Whether they'll change that in the future or not, we don't know. And we can only assume that they will, right? Because we've seen optimization, we've seen recal, we've seen it before in Division 1, we've seen it in Division 2. So this is kind of, again, like what Astro was talking about a little bit more, a soft reset on gear that we can probably make a guess at, that in the future we will be able to re-roll and we will be able to optimize before Division 3 comes out. like you know what I mean? Like, and although we don't know that yet, it's the same argument when they're talking about they're going to bring difficulty, because I'm guessing what he's going to talk about next, I can already see it says unbalancing. They're going to bring the other difficulties to the other parts of the game, right? I guess. But let's just go on. It unbalances everything that is not escalation. If nothing else for a while, yep. But why even do the new mode? But why even do it for a new mode that would be the only one that would need to change, instead of all the other game modes, if they did not make the current prototype choices? With just augments, there is still incentives to chase gear, but if the stats stay the same and are not recal and optimization is locked, it will still be at least acceptable. So hang on, let me just take in what he said there. So he said remove the stat chase, but add augments. And you can't recal and not optimize. Oh, okay. So basically, keep it as it is now, but remove the stat increase and make it just an augment, but still lock the gear behind not being able to optimize, not being able to change talent, and not being able to recal. Oh, nice, Devil. Nice.
I'd rather have it be able to recount.
Oh, hello, Rogue Gold. One of the most interesting things about IKEA's argument, in my opinion, is that he highlights how differently people view the game. He says Gear 2.0 unifying builds is good, and completing the gear is enjoyed the most. The builds after 2.0 is one of my least favourite changes that they ever made. Building was far more interesting. Yeah, see, so I love IKEA. I absolutely love him. You know, as a person, he's good, great. He helps me out whenever I ask him math questions and that. I absolutely love him. But I am in that camp with you a little bit as well, Raw Gold. Like, I like and I guess this is the argument with the RNG part of it, right? I like the aspect of having to grind to maybe fail, if that makes sense. And I know that sounds harsh, but we were talking about it a little bit in Discord earlier on. Like, everybody remembers bad RNG moments way more than they remember good RNG moments. And that is everything that is wrong to me. Like, everybody should remember in that time when you opened the chest in Dark Hours and back to back you got 3 Eagle Bearers. Like, you know what I mean? Because your RNG was mint. Like, you know what I mean? Or that time you actually got a HG chest piece to drop on the floor and it was weapon damage, headshot damage. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that is where there's definitely two different camps of people in the game. Like, the people that want to go out and just do whatever's best to earn optimization materials and get the best build through taking the time in doing that. But then the people that would just want to run the risk of drops and RNG. And I think the problem that Massive have very clearly got, that they've got these two camps, and you can't control the camp that just wants to grind to max gear, because Dave down the road can play for 2 hours a week, but then Bob down the street, oh no, in fact, let's say Sally, let's not be sexist, Sally down the street is a millionaire and plays for 12 hours a day. Like, you know what I mean? So Sally's got an advantage at that point because we're not a pay to win game like Division China, where they put you at hard caps for materials every day so that you know, to force you down a pay to win route. It's extremely hard to balance them two ideas, and you can tell they're trying to do that. Like, definitely the way this new system is going. But it's definitely tough. But I think it's unfortunate that he goes on to blame ETF and... Oh, does he? Oh, shit. That's not a good take for the signing off on this. When the ETF is the majority of non-creators, and the same point on how people view the game. That if he goes off and if he blames it, I mean, I'll tell him, like, that's a harsh take. Like, ETF and creators can't be made responsible for this, because it goes back. Yeah, because it goes back to the point, right? And I get this in my videos all the time, and I don't know if you get it, where people go, why do you never criticize the game? Why do you never say bad things about the game and stuff and things like that? That's because I put all of my feedback in the ETF. I don't need to make a video to go, I don't like this, I don't like that. Like, I don't want to make a negative video. Like, that's not healthy for my brain. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've said it here already, and I've said it in the ETF. I wasn't on board with not being able to roll the talent. I think it causes stash issues. Like, you know what I mean? But I've not put that in a video somewhere to make a point. I don't need to. I put it where I have the facility of putting it, and it's if they want to take that on board and make that decision, they can do. But assuming that ETF and creators just signed off on this is not a good statement. It's definitely not a good statement. It's because I'm a shill. Yes, absolutely, it is. Yeah.
And confirm.
You can't see what you can't see. We all want the game to improve as possible. Thinking out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I've said this before on your stream, but like, I'm not a creator. I get no benefit from this, and like, my visit to Massive and being a part of the ETF, I can definitely confirm, just as a regular player that selfishly wants the game to be better, that
I know, Dian.
there's an unbelievable amount of content and feedback from everybody. And it's just like anything else in life. You can provide it all you want, or you can lead a man to water, but you can't like force him to drink, right?
A horse to water.
Well, sure, a horse to water.
You don't lead a man to water. You take a
whatever.
Yeah, that
same point.
It's a good point, though. It's a good point. Yeah, exactly. Like, and I say that all the time, like, because. This is a slight tangent, right? Because sometimes in the creator space, creators will, I would have, right, more subscribers than Raw Gold if I was Mr. Negative on YouTube, right? Like I'm telling you now, if Raw Gold make a negative video tomorrow, he'd quadruple his subscriber count. Like, you know what I mean? But that's not helpful to anybody. Like, you know what I mean? Like, negativity breeds viewership. It really, really does. And I'm not saying IKEA is being negative here. This is not me ranting at IKEA. Like, this is definitely not. I think he's always a very constructive guy. But
I think this is what he really feels like, apart from whatever.
Yeah, it's just the point of blaming people who are in the ETF and people who have signed off on this. Like, that is just not what it is. Like, it's so far from what it is. Like, you know what I mean? It's so far from what it is.
Part of when I hear it.
No, you're good, Ro. Good, you're good. Like, it's such a far thing. Like, we know there's creators that make negative videos that are horrible every other week about the division. Like, and IKEA is definitely not one of them. Like, there's a certain creator space that people do it, and they get thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of views, but they make the negative video because that's what gets them views, not through core of the game, or not through like them wanting the game to do better. Like, you know what I mean? And if that's how they want to make their living, that's fine. But I'm not a Division content creator to make a living out of it. I'm a Division content creator because I want the game to be better. I want to enjoy playing it. I like to play the game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a full-time creator. I've got a job, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I make Division content because I like playing the Division, not for any other reason, like, you know, so. Anyway, let's go on. It unbalances everything that is not escalation. Oh yeah, so yeah, if nothing else for a while, but why do we need a new mode? That would be the only one that would need to change. Instead of all the other game modes, if we did not make the current prototype choices. Oh yeah, I read this. Yeah, okay, so I'll give you a bit of insight of Tickle feedback here, right? One of my first feedback items was to normalize prototype gear everywhere but escalation, not just in the raids and not just in the incursions. And obviously, and then to that point, I even went on a little bit further and said, why protect the raids and why protect the incursions from prototype gear when the rewards in them are already so readily available everywhere else, and having blueprints added in retaliation. Now, I've given that feedback. I've not put that feedback out there as public knowledge until now, but I've given that exact feedback. But the current, wealth of knowledge that we have from this is that all the stuff that we're worried about being able to face roll is going to change after season 1. And we can't really judge that because we don't know what that change is going to be. Yeah, okay, we're going to be able to have a really easy time in some content for the next X amount of weeks for season 1. But that just makes it easier for new players, because if they get in a group with somebody that's got prototype, that bit of content they were struggling to get past because they needed to get past it for whatever reason, that's what we talked about earlier on. It brings the economy of the player base up. Like, people can do things that they couldn't normally do because somebody in the group's got prototype. Like, you know what I mean? Prototype is normalized for PvP. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And they have to do the gear first, because if they did the content first, then it's what are the devs doing? They put out content we can't even play. Do they even test their game?
Yeah, exactly.
Fortunately, while yes, it makes everything easier, the alternative to have the content first is the worst road, or yeah, a worse road.
Maybe if you normalize the stats everywhere but escalation, you're going to need different builds for inside escalation. Because of its stats increases, you're going to have too much critical hit chance inside, so you're going to need more critical hit damage. Something like that would be better than like this, than what is the PTS. Yeah, exactly, Pom. Yeah, and that was my suggestion. Like I said, like, why? But that's clearly not what's going to happen. But then I've give that feedback, but we don't. We're limited to what we know, right? And I'll tell you this as an ETF member. I don't know the answer. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not hiding some super secret plan here. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody else is hiding any super secret plans. Like, it's just kind of like, we don't know the answer. Like, you know what I mean? My feedback is exactly the same for that point. Like, we don't know the answer. Like, you know what I mean? There is no targeted loot, nor is there a recal, making the chances of actually looting something close to impossible. Even if you get the brand, gear, or weapon that is actually used, the chances of rolling it with anything usable are abysmally small, and this makes it so that even people... Yeah, okay, this is what we've already said as well with Astro's feedback, that essentially if you drop something, you're going to destroy it for a prototype core. I get that. I get that.
That's something that we haven't really experienced in the PTS, because it just gives us...
It just gives us the cause, yeah. Entitlement kills longevity of the game. It's shooting and looting. Drop rate should not be guaranteed and not perfect, and that should not be meta. Yeah, Geek, I agree. I agree to that point. Absolutely. I agree. So it's a very good take. It's a very good take. I remember Dark Hours Ray when it first released. If you weren't running the M60 damage to elites on your gear, you could get booted from a group. Alright, so let's go with this one here. It messes with the inner balance of gear and talents because it gives you extra stats. Prototype gear is more effective for gear sets than separate multipliers instead of feeding into stats. So something like Coco that is feeding into weapon damage overall is gaining less from Proto than Strikers because Strikers really needed that. Also because Proto does nothing for skill tiers, it's a direct nerf to those. Again, they really needed that, of course. Beyond that, what do you think this means for the weapons themselves that can be Proto are moving up in damage, but the assault turret is not? And again, so this is all valid. Like, this is all absolutely... We talked about skill tiers earlier on, because we talked about how that the skill tier can go terminal and you get nothing on the second stat and attribute. So he's right in everything that he's saying, but we can only assume that this is not the final iteration of this system and that they're going to do something for skills and skill gear whatever, you know, coming soon, right? Alex said they're trying to get skill efficiency to work for Proto gear. Yeah, so yeah, all right, Orion. So it's clearly like a part one of a bigger system. So I think a lot of his concerns will probably be wrapped up in further changes down the line, especially from that paragraph 4. Because they've got to do something. Because as well, I talked about this earlier on as well. If you try using a shield in escalation at anything above tier 3, it's pointless. Like, it's absolutely garbage. It just gets shredded so hard from the damage that the enemies can do at that point. Does that mean we're going to get prototype skills? Maybe. Does that mean we're going to get prototype specializations? Maybe. Like, it does favor some stuff more than others. Using even the Big Al with the 100% that's with prototype gear is going to be significantly better because of its talent. Like, you know what I mean? They could add... Yeah, well, they couldn't. Yeah, that is the problem. Can you imagine if you got 2 skill tiers? That would break the game because you just need 3 skill pieces and then you could have the rest red. Holy balls. Like, you know what I mean? That would be crazy. And they already said that exotics are going to get a pass at some point as well. So we know this is definitely not the end. This is not just here's prototype and walk away, right? You know what I mean? So, okay. It is the level 50 gear that they promised would not happen, but with extra steps. And this feels like a kick in the nuts for that. And more than anything else, shows there is a heavy disconnect on the devs and designers' part. More than anything, I am disappointed that this has made it through Massive, than the ETF signed off on it, and that even the content creators that got to try it early did not object. This should have never been designed if you want to keep true to the Division 2, since year 2, and the actual implementation has been unthinkably bad. Okay, so I've got a lot to say, I guess, at this point. Okay, so what they did promise, and what he's getting at there, is that they said that they'll never introduce level 50 gear because they don't want to make us regrind again. Can you imagine if they came out with a level 50 gear tomorrow, and then all of a sudden all the gear in your stash is just fit for materials? That would be rough at this point in the game. The game's never been designed for that to happen. We've had all these tag-on systems like expertise, optimization, and things like that. And after doing all of that, to have to trash all our gear, horrible. So they've clearly come out with a new level of power that they want us to be able to attain, but in trying to still respect that level of time that we've already put into our game. So, you know, well, you don't, dog nuts. That you're assuming that you have to regrind it if you want perfect. you could upgrade to prototype and walk away from it and still get a power increase.
Yeah, but it's all by chance. So.
You know, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's by chance or not. You could literally hit a button, upgrade to prototype, and then walk away from it.
It will be better.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't actually have to regrind anything if you don't want to. If you want a certain stat on every piece, yes, you're gonna have to grind. Hey, Comet. But if you don't want to regrind it, you can literally just go upgrade to prototype and never do it ever again. Upgrade to prototype, never do it ever again. Upgrade to prototype and never do it ever again.
You've got no. There's no need to.
There is no need to go any. We've already seen people finish tier 10 escalation with a half-assed build, with no prototype and some prototype. So there's absolutely no reason for you to not just go upgrade to prototype and walk away. Yes, okay. There is a point that IKEA said before. You're not going to have the same build as me because your Strikers version will be different than mine, but you're still going to be more powerful than what you were. You know what I mean?
When you make some prototype,
well, so don't prototype a piece. Why would you? So Strikers, you're not going to have weapon handling on. So your Strikers mask, you're going to have weapon damage and critical hit damage. So you're going to get a power increase no matter what.
There is no RNG in the rolls.
What you're talking about is high end, right? So if you've got a high end with 3 stats on and you've got weapon handling as the middle stat and it hits weapon handling, that's rough. If you use an assault rifle and you get health damage, that is rough. Like, but you're still getting an upgrade. Like, you know what I mean?
It's still better than what you're on.
My Habsburg pieces, yeah, absolutely. If I don't, but I understand that's frustrating, right? I get it that that's frustrating, but there's still got to be a piece of. It's not a grind I absolutely agree with when it comes to unicorns. I understand the frustration. I've said exactly the same in feedback. But there's no point in me hating on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I might get headshot or weapon damage roll on all 6 pieces. Like, you know what I mean? I might do. But then again, I might not. I might get weapon handling on 1 and weapon damage on the other 5. And then therefore, I've got to farm that 1 piece again. Whoa, look at Raven coming in. Absolutely ghosted. Thank you, Raven. Gifting to Hero, Oak, Kenosis, Slows, Strider, Weedle, Willow, Pom, Zephyr, and Munger. Thank you so much, Raven. Very kind of you. Very, very kind of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Getting a critical hit chance increase instead of a weapon damage chance, and a weapon damage critical is also not a power increase. Well, it's a power increase if you can lower the crit chance on another piece somewhere else. But what you've got to think about is you've got to be extremely careful which pieces you take to prototype then. Like, you know what I mean? If there's a risk, if you're running a risk to get critical hit chance, that might be how you've got to farm. Like, you know what I mean? You might get 5 out of 6 that do weapon damage or headshot damage, and then that 1 piece might roll weapon handling. You've got to farm another one. I understand what you're saying. I fully understand what you're saying. I get it. But there's still got... that's the new element of the grind, right? You've just got to replace that 1 piece.
Even gone into explain the next layer of fucking farm.
And to be honest, it's even questionable that you need to even replace that piece, right? Because there's still no content in the game as of what we're looking at now in the PTS that would require you to have that stat. If the weapon damage does get increased, so be it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so be it. It's not going to stop you from doing anything. Like, you know. I'm good, thanks, Raven. Thank you very much for them gifted subs. How have you been? Strider, thank you for thanking Raven. Very kind. So what's the new number for armor, or is everything just going to drop with weapon damage? The armor figure doubles. It doubles as well. No, it doesn't. It gives you 1.5 more. Same as the weapon damage.
overall.
Yeah, 255 rather than what it is now.
170.
This is true. SMG build, you really... Yeah, exactly. So if you're upgrading your SMG gear, you would never prototype a piece with crit chance on. You're always going to do crit damage, otherwise you'll be over cap. So there is some thought process there that you're going to have to do. But unfortunately...
100% sold in knowing that it...
Well, but unfortunately, the problem is we have some anomalies with what we call unicorns, right? Whereas, do we really need a unicorn when I could run an Araldi instead? I'm just going to run an Araldi instead, right? Because I'm going to get an Araldi piece. That's going to get a stat increase. It's much easier for me to farm, and it's going to be better than my Habsburg. You know what I mean? So there's also that way around of thinking. All of a sudden now, my Araldi piece is just an easier farm. You know, and I've got the added stats that I wanted. Is it the perfect one? Because a Habsburg can be higher, absolutely. But you know, there's that way of thinking about it as well, right? If you just want the extra stat, just go Araldi. You know, and I know, and I'm not excusing the system. I feel like I'm sounding like I'm excusing the system. I'm not. But I'm just saying, like, from a perspective where you've got to think about getting the highest stats out of the system easily, that's what you would have to do, right? That's what you would have to do. Unicorns are definitely an exception. Yeah, I'm not talking about that, Dan, not yet. I've still not got through IKEA's thing. Sure, there needs to be some grind and challenge and not got everything for free, but there is a limit to it. Just because it works for you and you understand the game and you can hit your shots doesn't mean others are the same. There are players that just play and don't care, don't try to understand the game, and don't try and get better. It's just a relaxed time. I agree with you, we're getting things for free, but not a good way to go with everything has a limit. Yeah, I agree. Oh, Sharky with the raid. I'm so far behind here. Exactly, Beach. So then that means then you'd take the time to grind it, right? That's what you'd run that the RNG lottery, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Hello, Sharky. Thank you so much for the raid, bro. How are you doing? Thank you so much. Very, very kind. So that's a good point. But what is not a good point here, and I will mention this to IKEA when I speak to him. ETF didn't sign off on this. Like, this is not something that we've gone, this is a great idea. Tick, 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 tick. We've also given feedback on it, just like everybody else. We've also given our issues with it, our problems with it, and I won't lie to you. I'm not breaking my NDA when I say this. That feedback comes from content creators, speedrunners, people who play the game casually, people who have not played the game in 12 months, like people who don't play the game hardly ever. Like, I think there's one lad who I know very, very well. He hasn't played in a year.
People who don't play the game hardly ever shouldn't have a say
you know,
in the prototype game. I'm not being funny. I don't mean that in that way, but think about it.
It's definitely, that's definitely not a great statement for him to put in there. I like IKEA a lot, but to say he's, you know, he can say he's disappointed it's gone through massive because it clearly has, but to say the ETF signed off on it is not the greatest of. In fact, I even went to his stream the other day and told him I'm not sure yet. I've not even made my own decisions about it, so I don't know why he would put that. I don't. Maybe he's just angry, and he's allowed to have an angry rant. But I really hope he doesn't feel like that's what's happened, because it certainly isn't. IKEA is right though. This feels like they're starting over with the gear system. Getting a good full build God Rotor Proto is basically low RNG. It's almost impossible. So local armor, I actually disagree. We've tried it twice now. So I've rolled almost my entire inventory to prototype, and you get a double. So on a striker's piece, you get a double terminal. I've had a double terminal at least before I hit 20 every time. I got one at 14 or 15 before. I got another one at 20 earlier on. So if they're going to make expertise easier, it's some people first day will have a double terminal striker's piece. I can absolutely guarantee it. Like within the first week of a mega grinder, there's potential for them to have a full build of strikers double
A
terminal.
better build than you.
High end pieces, that is another subject altogether. I don't think we'll ever really see a max 3 stat high end piece. I don't think we'll. I mean, the minute we see one of them, that is a super rarity. But gear set items, we'll certainly see maxed out ones. I think we'll see them day one. Like, the people will definitely see maxed out gear set very early on, very early on. Relentless, you're screwed. You're screwed.
I don't think there's any. Someone could be, I don't know, what, 2,000?
Yeah, I will.
SHD?
I will roll gold. I'm definitely gonna. I'm not gonna say in a horrible way. I'll just say to him, listen, that statement is not true. Like, and I really don't want him to think that, because it's not an ETF signed off thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, here, what do you think about this? And we give feedback. Nobody's signed off on, like, you know what I mean?
I thought you told me you signed it off.
I did, yeah. That's why it's in the game. It's why it's in the game. Alex came to. In fact, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you all right now. Alex came to me and Raw Gold. He personally flew us all to a Starbucks down the road near where I live, and he had a contract that said on it, prototype gear sign off. DJ Tickle and Raw Gold, and he made us sign it on the bottom so that he had like back out clause that it's all their fault. That's exactly what happened.
I can't believe you signed it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got a large coffee out of it for free though. Like, you know. Well, okay. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, J-Mac, that it's luck, but we have a percentage. So we know that there's a chance of it happening, say 1 in 20, right? And that means like somebody could go like, I don't know, 1 in 1,000 still. Even if it has a low percentage, like, it doesn't mean that you'll get it in the 1 in 20. But it's, you know, it's
still gonna be better than the PC.
It's not like, yeah, it's not true luck. Nothing's true luck in this scenario. But I understand what you're saying.
It's gamble.
It's a gamble. Yeah. We're the scapegoat. Yeah, that certificate. He's got it pinned on his desk at the back of in his office. Like, it's Tickle and Gold's fault. It's currently around 130 exotic components. Is that enough to expertise a gear set? I'm not sure what we don't know what the new expertise costs are going to be. We don't know. Your RNG's bad. My biggest problem is you become stuck with the stats the RNG rolled. Yeah, local, but I think the expectation is that you go and farm a new piece at that point. That's the new expectation, right? You can craft a striker's set mask, optimize it, proto it, and that's the new expectation, right? Until you get the piece that you want.
I mean, it's certainly a path, right? Like...
I tell you what, Chai, yeah, I'll give you a scenario before we finish off on IKEA's statement. What do you think the thought process was? And I don't think anybody has asked this. I've got a. Oh, hey, Rogue, don't go. Let me hold you for 30 seconds. I want your answer. I want your answer on this. So we all know, right? Anyone that's played the game for watch mules, right? Everybody knows what an SHD watch mule is in this chat. I would guess 95% of people know what one is. And everybody knows how many materials Mr. Dognuts has got stacked up in his inventory, like Scrooge McDuck as a vault where he can swim around in his gold, right? You know what I mean?
He calls out dog nuts when he's just as bad. Unbelievable.
I have obviously not got anything overstacked at all. I am just capped as normal. I am definitely not overstacked at all, right?
A lot of my friends have got more shit than I have because I've not done.
No, what do we think? What do we think, right? Do we think the fact that they know for a fact that there is a lot of players in this game that are overcapped, what do you think? Do you think that had any type of influence on the decision to make expertise in gear to 30 so that something can be overcapped? Sorry, so that something can be prototyped. Do you think that played any part in the decision?
No, I don't know.
Do you think? Because they're thinking, how are we going to run these people's resources down? I think, yeah. I'm surprised so many are already saying no. I think, yeah.
I don't think it's got out to
Because it gives us a clear. It gives Dognuts a massive advantage. Day one, like, you're not overcapped on everything but exotic components, so not. All right, so someone like me, maybe then, who is pretty overcapped. I'll log into my thingy here now, right, and show you. I could create like 1,000 strikers masks day one and probably optimize them to 30. Like, that gives me a really good chance of getting a terminal one day one.
I want to say no, because that's like double rewarding players for abusing the shit out of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, if you look at where's
Because like, by saying, if they considered that, made the choice so that people would spend down, you're still giving them the advantage by allowing them to do that.
Strikers is a bad idea, right? But let's say I wanted a maxed out healer guard. I got 4,357 materials, boys.
How many exotic components do you have?
Not 999.
Yeah, I mean, so you're still limited by that. That's only enough for 11.
Yeah, in my main character, I got about 1,300. I don't got very many. Like, but I've got another character that's 999, another character that's 999, and another character that's like 900 or something. So.
Oh, okay, so you do have a lot more then. So you have like 4,000. Gotcha.
Yeah, about 4,000. Yeah. Exactly.
How did you? Well.
None of my characters share materials so that I can build them up independently.
Yeah.
But how did you was that during the
Watch Mule? I overcapped on Watch Mule season with my 4th character. Yeah.
Yeah, but how did you cap exotic components that way?
You can still do it now.
Well, that's why I've not got as many exotic components. Because I only overcapped on the characters where I'd overcapped them already by doing them individually.
Well, yeah, but I mean 999 on a unshared, that's still a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right, so
that's why my exotics aren't overcapped. Like, so
I can make a mule now, and I can still, if my main account with the other 3 characters,
exactly, yeah,
999, I can carry on grinded exotic components.
So all right, see you later, Raw Gold. See you later, mate. So I still do this. I still do
it, and it will in turn overcap.
Yeah. So although we don't have watch mules anymore now, I still do this. So my 4th character is disposable. I play on my 4th character.
I don't think you should be talking about that.
No, it's common knowledge. Everybody knows. It's still there's not. They only got rid of the watch mules, but you can still level a 4th character up. Cap it out with materials, and then buy shared materials, and it merges it to my main, and then delete that character. You can still overcap now, just not anywhere near as easy as what we used to be able to. Like,
if they didn't like it, then they would just auto share blueprints.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what that's what my. So when I'm not, because I don't have any gear to chase, I don't have anything to chase. Like, you know what I mean. So my daily grind is that now. I log on. I do some countdown on my 4th character that's got a strikers build, and that's it. Like, I don't need anything else, and that is my daily grind. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that is what I do. Like, you know what I mean? And then when it gets to capped out through, I don't know, a global event, because that gives me more materials, or one of these little events that double your materials on given days and stuff and things like that. I use them events to cap that character out, and then buy shared materials, delete it, and run again. Sorry, Dognuts, I didn't mean to call you out. I love you, you know
that.
Components.
So anyway,
a lot of people. Got
so
better,
I hope they.
And everything, and
so he's gone with. I hope they keep the arguments, lose the stats. In doing so, they build uniformity and mostly intact, and they do not severely unbalance most of the game. And without Proto Gear effectively being level 50 gear, you can then give up on the recall and optimization limitations and it not be locked out of those. All right, okay. Okay, I see what he's saying. So he's saying that so he's saying that he's still advocating to, although he's saying lose the stats, still keep recall, essentially. That is the game that we've had for the last 6 years since Warney, and that is what the core to the loyal player base that stuck around and through year 3. Did you think we kept around for the shiny loot? It was because Div 2 created its own niche with its build system and its great shooting mechanics. It was never about the loot. That is why it has an older player base. I am not here to chase the shiny loot. If I wanted the dopamine hits that are much more effective and addictive ways to do that, with many a powder a pill. Bring back mules. I skipped the paragraph. Which one did I skip? I read this one. Oh, this one here. I'm not one to go on an I'm quitting rant here, but I feel like the game is quitting me. It is trying to become something that I chose exactly to avoid. The Diablos, the PoEs, and the WoWs of the world that are loot based instead of resource based. Games that are based on going tall into a class instead of going wide and being able to still have a fair contest. And then even doing that part poorly, it does not work when the way you are drip feeding loot is not water but urine and at a trickle that will not ever cause the dopamine hits. That's quite funny. That's quite funny. I don't know what to say, chat. I don't know what to say. He's got a very, very strong feeling on the fact that he doesn't want to not be able to optimize his gear or use materials to not upgrade his gear. He does. He raises some very, very good points, and I absolutely agree with him on the difficulty in the rest of the game. I slightly agree on one point where I wish I could re-roll talent still. I think optimizing prototype gear would make it way too easy. But he suffers from the same problems the rest of us have, in that we don't know the bigger picture. We still don't know the bigger picture. You know, we know what the phase 1 is. So, you know, yeah, I don't know what to say. I can't argue against him. His points all could be, you know, extremely valid and might all ring true, but until we get the final implementation, I don't really feel like I can as strongly disagree with the system as what he is doing. You know what I mean? But it would be sad if it turns him off. You know, he's a valued. You know, to me, he's always been a valued member of the community. His maths is superb. Like, you know what I mean? He probably understands the game mathematically more than anybody else does. You know, so yeah, it's a shame. It's definitely a shame he feels this way about it.
He shares exactly my feelings in a lot of the regards, blah blah. But I think the biggest issue with him is his calculator's gonna blow up.
No, it will, but it's not big of a change.
I'm joking.
If we can't optimize it, it would be fine beforehand and upgrade later, keeping recall. If the stats stay the same, we don't need the optimization because it's already maxed. Yeah, I think what's tough is that, and do you know what, right? And I'll say this because I don't think anybody's come up with the solution, and I've been talking about this in my Discord a little bit, and I can still see even now why I've been here. People are having a huge discussion about it in my Discord at the same time. But there still isn't nobody. I don't think I've seen anybody to come up with a solution to what the answer is. Then, like even IKEA's solution there in, you know, don't give us the stat increase. It doesn't fix the everybody being done with it in a week problem, which is clearly what they're trying to do as well. When you've got to think about that, like they want this system to be a grind for a very long time, you know,
I've got an idea.
longer than
You
longer
just put
than
me on an idea
longer
also.
than even seasonal, maybe. Like, you know what I mean? They you know what I mean? They want to be, essentially, you know, you're right, Baby 80. Like it's for people who play for fun, that nothing's gonna change. Anybody that plays for fun, they're still gonna be able to do that. Like there's nothing that in this change that stops that from happening. So all of you casual players, like every single casual player in the game, probably doesn't care less about this new system that's coming in. Like, you know what I mean? They literally don't care less. Like, but how do they do that grind that they obviously want to increase without having optimization in, without having the randomness in? Like, how do they do it? Like, you know what I mean?
Still think picking one path of either saying like let it drop fairly often, but don't give targeted loot.
This ain't targeted at drops.
But don't give
you
targeted.
think prototype gear drop things a thing gonna be a thing? It's a million miles away from that.
See,
I know you don't actually think that, but no, you will never farm a prototype build.
I don't think it does, dog nuts. I don't think it does, because if they make expertise to 0 to 30 quicker, the gap is because the gap isn't much bigger from expertise 30 to prototype. Like that is certainly not it's definitely not a gigantic gap. Expertise 30 is a bigger gap now than I think what this will be, you know, when this releases.
Suggestion that might, I don't know whether they can do this.
Let us
Like,
optimize stats, but that's the solution. If they did, if they
let us optimize shit.
Just one
let
second.
us
If they-
farm.
If they did that, Lucy, though, I would probably be fully capped out day one, though, right?
Yeah, you would.
See, I'm not against that, Tony. I'm not against that at all. Like I would be quite happy with them to go, all right, we need 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever. We'll just extend the anniversary season and you know, give you the ×3 or a ×5 event. Have some, you know, more of the gear up events or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? And cook it a bit more. I'm not against that.
I've got a question for you and your chat though.
Go on.
What about, right? So I take my level 30 striker mask, blah blah blah, prototype it, and I get max roll first stat. And then I'm working on my augments, obviously, and the other stat is just equivalent to what I already had, blah blah. Do you not think leveling up with the augments could maybe be the way to get me? So like,
Yeah, I get what you're
if my
saying.
crit chance was 6, can I take it to 9 just by using
Yeah, just
it?
by using it. I get that, but then it's how much time do you put into that? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, getting from 6 to 9% crit chance, the augment's actually more fucking damage than the fucking 6 to 9 crit chance.
Yeah, I agree, Devil's Minion. I absolutely agree. Optimization shouldn't be brought into this until much later down the line. It should be like season rewards, but with a grind. I don't know. I don't know how they do that, you know. It would be funny if they nerf strikers.
But I mean, they're obviously going to give us some type of a decrease in the materials used, but we just don't know how much yet, do we?
Yeah, I think that's my thought exactly, Benny. Like, I think it's fine to have the criticism of it, but I think it's also useful that we have you know, a constructive solution for it as well. Like, you know what I mean? And I think Aki has tried to do that. Obviously, he's talked about removing the stats but still having the augments. But I think that potentially then leads into the fact that people might be done with the system too quick. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay. What about when the augment is actually maxed out? It actually brings all your other stats up to the current highest level.
I think it's just hard to balance.
Not too much.
So I think it's hard to balance a gameplay stat reward, because this is what we talked about earlier on. Like, you know, that puts Dave that plays down the street, you know, 2 hours a week at a huge disadvantage. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as opposed to
lock him out of the prototype in the initial sense.
he might never get there.
Well, that's Cobra's argument, but he what does Dave down the street who plays for 30 minutes
Remove it from the game so people can finally learn to land headshots. I listen, chat. I don't think it's going away, right? I really don't think it's going away. Like, there's 2 weeks left in the anniversary season. I mean,
you don't need it.
You got to think about one thing. Like, how long does console verification take? We know that takes longer than a week. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I think it certainly isn't going away. But do you know that? Hey, do you know what? That's a good point, Thierry. That's a very good point, right? Look at the Chinese version, how overpowered in some scenarios we are there. But they balanced all they let everyone become super overpowered, and then they balanced the content afterwards to match how overpowered people were. Maybe they're just taking the same ethos.
I'd be curious how people feel if they just came out and said, because they kind of all but have, if they just sort of confirmed, like, oh, hey, like, in the future, we would consider bringing something to optimize and recalibrate. Would that then just, like, make people, like, more accepting of this just because it doesn't exist right now? Like,
No,
is
I
that...
I think it will.
Is that good? Is that what do you think, chat? Answer the question. What do you think?
That's a really good thing.
If they said to you, this is just a season of gearing up because you're gonna need it next season when we make everything else harder.
Don't put the need thing in.
No, all right, no.
Hold on.
Keep it separate from.
Hang on. Give me a sec.
Where's the Beersy tracker?
I
Find
don't-
Beersy trackers from Toasty's thing yesterday. He literally, like, I asked him a question and he answered basically not confirming, but saying, "Let us do this first, and we look at that in the future." That's not a confirmation, but, like, I mean, it's on their radar. It's on their radar.
Who's got the Beersy tracker from my Discord chat? Oh, you got the tracker open? Oh, DM me, dog nuts, DM me. Sub Chevy.
It'll have to be eventually, you know.
Look in Toasty's chat, I think from yesterday, because I asked him, and it's something he'd already commented on, because of the variety. It's like, why not let us do something with that? And,
that's not a bad idea, Faye. Actually, that's not a bad. I kind of like that.
But yeah, he was like, let us get this out, and then we can always look at those next steps in the future. Like, I mean, that's not a confirmation, but, like, I mean, just look at what happened with the launch, right? When this game first came out.
Something like that the other day, where it was like, it's gonna come in.
I'm gonna reference Destiny a little bit here, chat, and I don't know how many of you have played Destiny 2.
I did.
But when a new season of Destiny 2 comes out, it's always or a new DLC. It's always a mega race, isn't it? To get the best gear. Make sure you do all your weeklies so you get all your upgrades and all the rest of it, because you can't miss them the power drops and all the rest of it. Yeah. So that, because you've got a date for a raid that's coming, and if you want to compete in Worlds First, if you miss any of them upgrades along the way, you're in trouble, right? Because you're not going to be strong enough. Is that not just kind of what they're doing here? Like,
you're going to be lower than the raid level, but you could get as strong as you can to get
like they're letting us power up now in season 1 for what's to come later. Like, you know what I mean?
They took those power increases away, so your gear didn't really go up as much anymore.
No. Don't talk about what they're doing now. I'm talking about what they used to do.
Oh yeah, what
What
they
they're
used to, do,
doing
but they
now
still
is
sunset everything.
disastrous, isn't it?
Yeah, what
Oh,
they're doing now is making everyone play Div 2 instead of Destiny.
I think a
Stoner,
lot of
thank
people
you for the
quit playing
follow, buddy.
Destiny too. 'Cause all the.
I don't know, Tony. I don't know. I don't actually know. I don't know. I'm sounding like I'm sitting on the fence a little bit, but that's because I am. Because I'm not entirely sure. Because the PTS spoils it because we get given with no real desire to grind it out in the PTS. Because it doesn't stick. And we've no, we get given the coins. So we skip a lot of the grind.
This
And I
this
think
is my main problem.
and I think it's kind of tough a little bit that we don't really know. One sec.
If I ask you a question now, sorry.
So it says, so this is our first version of this system. Expect that we're going to be looking into ways to improve our systems. Right now, I just want this out the door with as few bugs as possible. Was there anything about difficulty, or was that the end of it?
I think that was the end. But
Right.
like, I mean, he clearly says this is the first version of this, right? Like,
Yeah.
I understand it's not a confirmation, but I don't remember exactly what I asked him. But it was something like, "Why can't we do this?" But I mean, this is going to evolve. Like, you have to expect this to evolve.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
think
absolutely.
Anyone's ever talked about the bigger picture of it, though.
What's that?
So imagine this going live tomorrow.
Yeah.
How much does it cost me to do blah blah blah? Do you get
Yeah.
me? Whatever it might be. We don't know, do we? Because we've opened the cash and got 999.
Yeah. We don't know how it actually feels to play. Like,
Yeah, so they
don't
should have just made it easier, or the way it should have felt in the real game when
Yeah.
you brought it out in the
But
PTS.
to be fair, Devil, you can
So
do that.
I
You
think
can start the PTS. But
I think we
just
will
open
get
the
it, Cobra. I mean, I don't know for sure. I think we will get optimization of sorts, or I think they'll definitely introduce different ways of us doing the system. Like, you know what I mean? Whether that makes they'll in some way, I think they'll make it easier, is what I'm trying to say. But it depends. I think it depends on that Division 3 timeline. Essentially, I think that is essentially what it will be coordinated around. I think we're going to get a very strict foundation to it that seems overly harsh.
And a grind.
With a big grind, and I think maybe six months in they'll lighten that implementation a little bit, and so on until we get to whatever the final version of it will end up being.
Yeah, Dognuts list.
Oh, thank you,
posted what I
Dognuts.
asked, and it's not exactly like a confirmation or anything, but it is asking, like, if it's this rare, why can't we recalibrate? So he didn't just say no. You know what I mean? He could have very easily just said, like, nope, not for now. This is the system. I mean, even just to say, hey, this is our first iteration of it. We really want to get it out the door. Let you guys mess with it, and then that gives them time to actually take and act upon the feedback that we actually want. So I look at that as a positive. I know it's not exactly the full meal that we wanted or confirmation that all will be well, but I don't know. I see it as highly logical and probable that in the future they'll implement ways for us to interact with the gear.
Yeah, I think Pom. I think that they're just going to turn around and go, well, we're going to make expertise easier for what, the third or fourth time is it now that they've cut expertise? I mean, I think a lot of people here probably did expertise as it came out, right? We did it the hard way, like, you know what I mean?
But in reality, you did it with the mules too, so
I think
still a thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, escalations aren't exclusive. Like you can literally
Exactly,
catch a
Tony.
party
I don't
and
think
go in.
escalations is
Tony's
part
absolutely hit the nail on the head. Like it will be like this grind, hard to get. People complain it's too hard, and 6 months later it'll be easier. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I really think that's going to be the case, and her like there's nothing gating you from like new players, especially if they have friends that are further progressed, from grinding T0. I mean, it's just heroic. It's literally heroic, base level. You can go
don't
in
know
and
what it is,
interact with the
though?
system.
You don't know. You can't tell me what it is, though. Right?
What do you mean?
Do you know the biggest mistake we've done? Someone should have gone into the PTS and not bought any cheat caches.
Yeah, and seeing what the actual economy of it feels like.
What the actual economy of it feels like, yeah.
I think Toasty tested it. Now he's not the best person to test it against, but I believe he's gone all the way up to like T7 or 8 in live in retail.
I'm not talking about that.
Just out of interest, how many escalation tokens do we start with?
Prototype.
Does anybody know?
I believe it's 0. I believe we have to grind our way up.
So you start with actual 0. So you've got it right. Okay.
That would be my guess.
Because the first tier actually starts with 0, doesn't it? So
it's free, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
In fact, let's go into the tier 6 and test Hotfoot, please. See if it damages us.
What I'm saying is, like,
so Pepe,
the best tester in the PTS would have been someone going in, not buying them cheat caches, and just going to play the game. Oh, right.
You can do tier 0. You can do tier 0 in the build you've got in the real game today. It's no hard. It's no harder than legendary. I think
it could be a farm. Yeah.
I think about tier 3 feels like legendary. Tier 4 feels like master. Like you absolutely can. Oh, it's because I'm not tabbed in the game. That's all. I was tabbed out of the game, so it makes it looks rubbish.
I bet you no one can answer the question. How much does that cost? Well, they can probably answer the question how much it costs, but how do you earn that, and how long does it take you to earn that? So, etc., etc.
I mean, you start at T0, which is free, and you earn 2.
Not escalation. No, whoa.
He's talking about prototype gear. We don't know, Dan.
Sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry.
If we'd have started off on, like, say, the likes of me, I should have just gone in, didn't buy any caches, see how long it took me to get, like, one piece.
You can do that, Dango? April 2nd. That sounds like a great opportunity.
Yeah. So we're actually on the test server right now, Pepe. So it's not a really good example of what the game's actually like. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Even easier.
Even if you buy the game, just play through the expansions and stuff and things like that. You will absolutely have a ball for the price that it's giving you. Crazy worth it. If you like shooting games, you like a bit of gearing up and stuff and things like that, absolutely crazy worth it.
Something I'm really sad about is I was doing T10s with Prime earlier today, and we cleared T8 first and then went into T10.
All right, yeah.
But now on my personal progress, none of that counted for me, and I'm still at T6.
Holy shit, Tony.
You got to earn your own
It costs you 1,300 proto tokens. See, so I'll tell you what, chat, I'll tell you something I talked about, right? Let's talk about feedback, right? So I think the proto token currency should be separate to the gear currency. I don't think they should be the same currency that they share, because I think it adds even more to the issue of getting them and drops and things like that.
Well, it also forces you to you get a very rare piece, and then they're asking you to deconstruct it to then get the currency. Like, it should come as a separate currency.
Like, I understand that the protocols need to be rare so that I can't make my entire my entire inventory proto day one, that's fine. I absolutely get that. But the currency for re-rolling the talents should absolutely. We won't do it. Let's just see if it shocks us. Just take us in. Yeah, the proto the augment currency. I can't get my words out. Should absolutely be separate for sure.
Augment. You
Yeah.
just get that with XP. But augment, it just basically is leveling.
Is it? Oh, it's on now.
Multi-kill XP.
Alright, so I'm gonna sit still here now. Let's see how much it damages us. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's gonna be the farm. Once you've rolled it maybe once or twice. Oh my god,
It does,
hurts
it
like
does hurt you.
shit. Yeah.
it only took a third from me. I could swear earlier it did not hurt me at all.
It
But
took
maybe it's because of refractor. I don't
it
know.
took
Yeah,
two
but it
thirds
didn't
from
stand-
me.
It didn't stand you up, did it?
Yeah, it did.
It did, yeah.
No.
It did. I
Right.
wasn't on Hasbro. I was on a regular
Oh,
striker build.
right. I was on about Hasbro.
Let's see.
Apparently it doesn't stand
Yeah,
you up, but
It'll down you too.
It downs you
Interesting.
too. Yeah, kills you.
That's so different than earlier.
Well, what do you think might have been happening there, Ryan?
Well,
I
like,
think-
no.
It may
That,
not have actually been sick.
it was actually no. It was
Hotfoot's
actually
horrible.
T-Pen. It was not the bug. It was
Hotfoot is
legitimately-
absolutely horrible.
It was legitimately T10 because we didn't complete it.
Oh yeah. Actually, that's a good point. Actually, I've got glass cannon on, so I took way more damage because of glass cannon.
Oh, okay, there you go. I was gonna say I only took a third.
Let
I
me
say
take
only,
let me
but
take glass cannon off and just put something random on and just test it again. You take us in again, please.
Gonna use up all my tokens.
You don't cost you shit.
Yeah, hotfoot's. Yeah,
I hate it. It is easily my least favorite
I
thing.
might
about
even
all
get
of
to
it.
the point, Tony, where like I just like create a piece, roll it once. If it's not what I want, just don't bother, because it'll be way easier otherwise.
The healing thing is pretty OP too, and I think it's bugged. The healing modifier.
Which is it? Oh yeah, so it takes
Yeah, we
50,
were-
just under. Well, what would you say that is, chat? A
A
third?
third.
Third.
A third. When we got to that boss.
Yeah,
in
exactly,
the-
Tony. Exactly.
What is it, Brooks? He was the only NPC left, didn't have anyone else around, and would just randomly heal, which I know is one of the global modifiers or enemy modifiers that there's an enemy that can heal other people, but there was nobody else to
Healed
heal him.
himself as
So in
well,
a full
apparently.
red build, it takes 5 shocks without a heal to go down. 3 for your armor, 2 for your health. And then is that? In fact, now I've got up. It's going to take a further what? 3 to get me down again. It is going to take 3 to get me down again.
Is it 3? When I was at where you're at now, I went down after 1 shock.
Because when I got rezzed, I got a third of my life. Yeah, it's going to take 3.
Maybe I got shot. I don't know.
So it does take quite a few to get you down, but it's still the world's worst modifier.
Well, the bigger issue isn't how much damage it does to you, it's that it stands you up or forces you to move.
Yeah.
The forcing you to move thing is really tough because you're on a timer. So it's either forcing you to make a quick decision and move before you're ready, or it stands you up automatically and then you're fucked. So you're like fucked either way.
So Hasbro completely nullifies it. Completely nullifies it. Does Faraday
thought-
work?
No,
Someone said it-
you still take
the
damage.
No, if you've got over 90%, you don't.
Yeah, you do. 'Cause,
No.
Biker was
Biker
using
tested it,
115% in Hasbro, and he was using his backfire and still taking
It
damage
doesn't
from it.
make you stand up, but it still takes half your armor off 100% Hasbro.
Hang
Do
on.
you get me? So it doesn't give you the status effect, like you stood up and like waving at the NPC being shocked.
Yeah, it's
But
also a
it
lot
takes-
less forgiving than
takes half
I
the
had
damage
expected.
away.
Hang on, that was not my experience. I want to test Faraday as well. Just give us one sec, chat.
So either it's really bugged on some servers and others, or it's not bugged on others and then it's on some. So I don't know.
Well, I also wonder if
Potentially,
if the modifier gets more powerful at a different tier,
Maybe,
I think it probably does.
because it doesn't actually list out any of the values, right? It just says like get shocked.
I've only got 80% shot resistance. Hang on though.
Really sad they don't give you the optimization blueprints.
Can anyone remember how to?
shot resistance mods will. You're still gonna take damage.
It's
Oh,
compressed, but not compressed.
Against the shot, but you still.
Yeah, it's compress. Then the second one is Hasbro, and then the third is Converge.
Well, it doesn't work anymore. That they fucked us.
Doesn't it? Does it just doesn't give you 80? Doesn't yeah. I'm still at 22.
I got 20 Hasbro from that now.
Well, you're also like shitty. You haven't leveled your modifiers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right, I got 100% shot resistance. Let's try this. Take us in, boss. Faraday. So Faraday does okay. So Faraday works, but why am I not getting it? Oh, there is. I've got to be in combat. Okay. Man down.
Dude, these things hit so.
Oh, so yeah.
hard.
So I still took the damage. I just didn't get the shock. That's interesting. So that's the same as Faraday, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to believe it would be, right?
So I wonder if that new exotic mask is meta. I wonder if you can add enough regen to your build so that you heal more than the a third in the time it takes for that bar to build up.
Problem is when you do that, like you still need enough damage to get past a T10.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a healing hive's the W right there, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. It's interesting.
Vital signs critical. Agent vital signs.
Hasbro and armor regen. You just gotta be careful you're not taking out too much of your damage, though, right?
Agent down.
I guess it's just nice to have a Faraday in your team with a healer, I guess. That someone that can use a healing hive, and that'll just negate it completely. Right, chat, I've been here way longer. The title was Short PTS Stream. So I'm gonna go to bed. You had 2 Faraday? Nice. Very nice. Very nice. So I'm gonna go to bed.
I just sent you a DM.
I'm gonna say goodbye first of all to YouTube. Thanks, Cobra. Good night, everybody. Yeah, Hasbro healer build is definitely good. Where do you want me to raid?